This is Zurich Airport calling for Racing Unleashed Season 2023 Beyond the Pinnacle. Today we go racing at the legendary high-speed racetrack in the Parco di Monza. Ladies and gentlemen, start your simulators. Get ready for racing.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
And it is green and go. It's a good start from Rock already. They make contact. Absolutely flying. He's a man on a mission at the moment. Right into the gravel. To what's happened up front? Oh, it's chaos. Can't overtake, he said. Little Augustin Torlacci, a very happy man, a kiss on the simulator as well.
This is Racing Unleashed.
And a very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Racing Unleashed, where we go beyond the pinnacle here in 2023. I'm your host, Mathew Duffin, and joining me once again is Fabio Vertigo, where we'll be discussing a lot that happened last night, as well as a few things coming up in the programme today. But what a show we have in store for you. It was an absolutely fantastic race. If you missed the Challenger League, I suggest you go back and rewatch that, because what a night of racing it was. Chaos, dramas, and fantastic action throughout the whole 22 laps around the Temple of Speed. It was a brilliant, brilliant night for the Challenger League drivers. We've got the Racer League today, though, and it's going to be fantastic once again today. But first, we're going to take a look at a little trailer. If you're across Switzerland or Central Europe, you may have noticed Gran Turismo in cinemas at the back end of August. And if you was lucky enough to watch it in the cinema, you may have seen a little trailer before the film started. Gran Turismo was yesterday. This weekend, today, is Racing Unleashed, and it's the Racer League. But before we get into the Racer League, what a night of Challenger League action last night. And there was a lot of drama behind the scenes when we came off air last night. A few drivers very disgruntled and dishappy with race control and with the penalties they received. Talk us through a few of the penalties. We obviously saw highlights that warranted penalties that we felt talking on air to you guys yesterday, but just tell us a bit of what happened last night.
Yeah, sure. But before we go into that, maybe let's talk about the movie first a little bit, because there is actually a message behind it, right? So you've seen the Ferrari car there, and if you've watched the race yesterday, our new safety car is a Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo, which is actually a real car because we've put it in the trailer. Yeah. It's at the moment stationed at the Ascari circuit, which is part of the portfolio of Racing Unleashed. And it's our goal to really put the drivers into that Ferrari at one day, if not this year, next year for sure. And that's the goal, really. So Gran Turismo doesn't exist anymore, but it was a huge platform, obviously, for drivers to come into racing from the virtual world, and we want to do that as well.
And it's pretty much what the film's about, isn't it? A guy sat in his bedroom playing Gran Turismo on his PlayStation to then get into a real-life seat, and that's obviously what we're trying to do here at Racing Unleashed. We've seen already Ciro Zambra's been able to drive the Formula BMW this year, thanks to his driving at Racing Unleashed. The prize money is when he's been able to get himself in a Formula BMW car live there in our Kempthal lounge. Yep. So it's just showing that what we do here at Racing Unleashed, the drivers are able to learn their skills, hone their skills here, and try and take it onto the real track.
Yeah, exactly. And if you do well in the championship, obviously you will be rewarded by some visits at the Ascari track. This will come more and more, so we're just planning that, and I'm really looking forward who's it going to be and how they do actually on the real track.
Me?
Yeah. You can come there and commentate. Yeah. You can come there and commentate for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about last night, though, because we had fantastic action throughout the whole evening. As Fabio mentioned last night, he was on the floor, I was on the floor, we was stood up, edge of our seat. It was brilliant racing, but a lot of drama came after we came off the air last night. A few drivers very unhappy with decisions. Yeah,
obviously, naturally in races, you just see the end result, right? What happened after the race exactly. There were some post penalties applied, which obviously are not in favor of some drivers. At some point, you got to respect what race control decides. You also have processes, or we have processes in place at Racing Unleashed where you can contest the decisions of race control, write them an email, say, okay, I'm not really, I don't really agree with what you decided. Please look at it again, right? But, I mean, that's the normal part, right? But for me and for Racing Unleashed, what doesn't really go is what is going on social media, how people are publicly attacked, or even our stewards. That is something that has no place in our world, in the world out there in general. So social media is not the place to discuss that.
And this is the problem with hot-headed drivers. They've just come out the cockpit. We speak a lot every time we're on air about when they're in the car, they make them silly mistakes, the driver in that instinct. It's the same when they're out the cockpit. That adrenaline is still flowing, that they just are snap and quick to make a judgment. Prize money, though, for this season, or for today, should I say, this is kind of what puts people a little more hot-headed, because when you look at today's prize money, 3,500 Swiss francs for a win, drivers want that win. And as we saw yesterday, we had such a dramatic change in the podium where we saw Agustin Torlacci off, Lorenzo Hayder was off the podium, and all of a sudden Yannick and Borja Zarzo was on there, getting themselves 5 and 300 Swiss francs and helping Yannick now back top of the championship, potentially for that 3,000 Swiss francs in 4 races' time. Yeah. So you understand why drivers are hot-headed, but obviously there is no place for personal attacks on social media.
It's not only the prize money, it's also the chance of getting up to the Racer League and then fight for these kind of amounts there, right? But still, sometimes I know as well, because I've been mad at race control for sure in the past, but still, sometimes it's just better to cool down first a little bit, maybe sleep over the race and then look at it from a different angle the next day.
P17, you finished here last year. Was you mad at race control then?
I mean, I wasn't mad at race control. I was mad at Fleshny because he crashed me out. But sometimes that's the way it goes. And you just have to go race for race.
You do indeed. We are here, though. We're at the Temple of Speed of Monza. We head, though, in race 7 to the circuit, Catalunya in Barcelona, 29th and 30th of September. If you want to be in that Challenger League race, it's the qualification period opens on the 18th of September and closes on the 27th. We head then to the Ardennes Forest of Spa for race 8 at the back end of October. Race 9, brand new circuit, Laguna Seca. We thought turn 1 at Monza was interesting. The corkscrew could be just as interesting at race 9. And then race 10, the beginning of December. We have no idea where this layout is. We don't know where the track is. It's not only the battle for glory for race 10, but it is the 10th race of the championship due to the delay we had at the beginning of the season. We've obviously made this round 10, but still nobody knows where the track is. Are you aware?
I know.
Well, you'll have to find out. You'll have to wait to see when Fabio decides to tell us. But it's going to be a fantastic season. We've got 3 that we know of, 3 fantastic tracks coming up. Catalunya, fantastic. Spa, historic. Laguna Seca, brand new, could be an interesting one.
Yeah, especially with Barcelona now, we race on the MotoGP track, so the old F1 track basically, so not with the chicane anymore. So this is going to be interesting how the cars behave through the fast last corner. And then, as you said, traditional tracks as Spa, and then just a classic one, Laguna Seca. I'm just happy that the corkscrew is not turn one.
Aren't we all happy that the corkscrew is not turn one? Here, though, was the results of the Race League at Zurich Airport. It was a fantastic race last time out in which Michael Smeedle took his first race win. Yeah, you heard it right. His first race win of the season. And if you watched last year and haven't returned much this season, he was so dominant, but he struggled this year with the car. Had a few instances he's been caught up in. He's taken his first race win. Enrique Marinon as well on the podium. He's been a man this season who's really stepped up his game.
Yep, indeed. Marinon, very, very consistent. Sometimes a bit off the pace, but usually he's the quickest guy in practice. So always nice to see him up there. And I'm especially happy for Sebastian, who made his first podium as well after his big accident. Very, very, very good racing in Zurich there, what we've seen last week, and I hope it's going to be the same today.
Hopefully it's going to be the same. Like we said last night, we was on the edge of our seats. We was sat on the floor at one stage watching the action. It was absolutely fantastic and dramatic as it went through and unfolded. The standings out for the Racer League look a little like this. And if you're Alejandro Sanchez, you've been demoted to P2 after a couple of rounds where he's not had it his own way and he struggled to get through the pack. Michael Smeedle leads the championship 2 points clear of Alejandro Sanchez, with Angelo Mikel, race winner this season, currently sat in P3. Enrique Marinon is fourth with Wojciech Plesny, P5. Christoph Holstein, race winner at Silverstone, down to sixth. Sebastian Hirsch is in seventh with David Seed. Ciro Zambra and Florian Harser rounding out the top 10 in the standings then. And we said last night we had 5 different winners in 5 races. We've had 5 different winners this season. We've had Smeedle, Angelo Mikel, Alejandro Sanchez, Christoph Holstein and David Seed winning races this season. 6 from 6 tonight.
Maybe. I mean, one to watch today could be Dominik Dedic, back again from sickness or holidays. He's been quick in practice, and he will start the knockout from P3. Yeah. So maybe a man to watch.
Maybe a man to watch indeed. We are a few drivers short this week. Illnesses and holidays, a couple of them watching the Formula One at Monza. Yep. So not being able to pick up the track tips they'd have liked to. Here's the penalty point roster for the guys and girls at home. Then David Ladomada then has to serve a knockout qualifying ban this week. He wasn't here for the last one, I believe, to serve it there. Mark Gasner is 2 points away from that knockout ban. Angelo Mikel's on 13. Wojciech Plesny's on 12. He's already had his knockout ban, so really needs a clean week. Otherwise, he's on the edge of being given that race week ban. Jan Tufan, Kevin Abbey there as well on 10 points. Smeedle's on 9 himself. Devin Iskro, Dominik Dedic and David Seed all on 5 points as well. For Plesny, got to be very squeaky clean this week, hasn't he? Because if a few incidents and all of a sudden he misses Catalonia.
Yep, indeed. But I'm sure he's aware of that, so he'll do the right things.
Yeah, he'll do the right thing. We've got Christoph Holstein, Loris Mistretta on 5 penalty points between them. And Ciro Zambra, who's already had a knockout ban, on 2 penalty points as well. So that's the way the roster looks in terms of penalty points. David Ladomada will serve his knockout ban today. He'll be going from 16th place on the grid in the race later on in the programme. 15 drivers, though, in knockout. Knockout's going to be a little shorter today than what it was yesterday, but we saw in knockout yesterday, fantastic run till the very end, and I have no doubt today's going to be no different.
Yeah, I hope so too. Maybe it's going to be a little bit of a one-man show in the front. I believe that Dominik has the pace to actually pull out the gap if he manages to pass the 2 guys in front. But it's going to be interesting, you know, with the fast guys coming from the back, especially this guy, Michael Smeedle, together with Sanchez and the rest of all the top guys there. So very excited. Yeah,
very excited indeed. And if we look there on the timing screens, it's actually 0.8 of a second that separate the top 12 drivers. Kevin Abbey down in 12 to Alejandro Sanchez, currently fastest out there in the practice, but 1 lap pace means nothing at the moment. It is all down to that consistency of a sprint race format in knockout. But it is Sanchez, Marinon and Hirsch, the top 3. Smeedle 2/10 off. Now, one thing we noticed yesterday, we know the RU23, fantastic car this year. It's a little twitchier this year, isn't it? And we saw a lot of slides, a lot of snaps through corners yesterday that these drivers have watched, possibly learned where the car seems to be snapping. They've now got to correct them today. And is that what Smeedle struggled with all season? Just the car not being under him?
I mean, he's always there pace-wise, right? I think this year it just didn't go according to his plan,
Yeah.
you know, because last time round he was just sailing through the field, and this year he was involved in more incidents than usual. So yeah, he has to fight back, which he has done. So he's leading the championship. So yeah, who knows how it goes today? Less drivers on the track, a bit more space. Yeah.
Yeah, a bit more space and hopefully a chance for Smeedle to pick up some more points. Sanchez will want to get back to fine form as well, because had a bit of a poor Imola and not the best Zurich Airport race for him, which has seen him just come off the podium a couple of times now and lose them points to Smeedle. He's going to want to be back on the top step. He's going to want to be back on the podium and still take that fight, because we're halfway through the season now. One eye possibly just looking at that championship standings.
Yeah, he was actually texting me yesterday saying, because he watched the Challenger League race, he's not looking forward to today, because obviously he's starting in the mid, or from the back, you know, and we have.
So we have just been told that we are another 2 drivers down, that Ivan Kaufmann and Christoph Holstein will not be participating today. They have not been able to get to the racing lounge and into their simulator on time. So we
14, huh?
we're down to 14 drivers, which is 13 for the knockout qualifying. Disappointment for Holstein. He's obviously in that top 6 in the championship. He'd have wanted to pick up points with drivers missing today. That's a disappointment for him.
Yeah, so maybe I can talk to the guys if they're still on the way, so they can participate at least in the knockout. But if they can't make it, obviously it's a bit hard. Yeah, I'll check with the guys because we do want to see the guys racing, and maybe there was an accident on the highway or something. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, there is a few of our drivers with the live camera shots from Kemptol's Racing Lounge. You saw David Ladamada there in the green simulator. Always seems to go for the green one, the closest to the steps there. I've noticed he seems to be in that one quite regularly, does David. So
I think that's just luck, because we don't let the drivers choose the simulators.
Always randomly?
It's randomly.
Right.
It's a machine that does it, and maybe it's just the green one.
There we go
David.
then. So if Ivan Kaufmann cannot race today, that'll be Kevin Aby going from pole position in the knockout, putting Dominic Dedic, who you said could be one to watch today with his pace, putting him up to P2 in the knockout qualifying session. And with them 2 cars possibly not in knockout, it gives them a chance to, maybe that's an extra lap of drivers that won't go round the track. So it's a chance for him to get pole position earlier.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think that's Dominic here.
Yeah, there he is.
Exactly. Usually not the quickest in practice or qualifying, but very quick in the race. So he has the race trim. And for sure, he's eyeing on that podium today.
You reckon?
Yeah, for sure. That's what he wants.
Well, we got it wrong yesterday. We got it horribly wrong yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll get Fabio's thought on who's going to win the race a little later on. There's our lounge in Madrid then. You see David Seed in the green simulator closest to our screen. Alejandro Sanchez looks like he's in the yellow simulator towards the far end. Can't quite, I think, is that Enrique Marinon, the red simulator at the back?
Could be an Asnor in the other red one.
And then I believe Javier Loro in the yellow one in the middle between Sanchez, or is Loro down here? Either way, yeah. Very quiet today in Madrid. We saw a lot of people in last night. There's Munich. We'll be live in Munich later on today as well. We'll get to speak to the Munich lounge, and they're all ready to go. It's always a good atmosphere in the Munich. They've always got you always see the Challenger League drivers come and participate and cheer on the Racer League drivers in the back.
Yeah, indeed. It's great seeing the guys from the Challenger League also going to the lounges, supporting the Racer League drivers, even though they race on different days. There is a lot to learn from those guys, because those are the pros.
Yeah.
They've managed to be there for a very long time. They've gone through the school of Challenger League up to Racer League. So this is where they want to be, obviously fighting with the top guys, fighting for the prize money that we have at Racing League.
And as you saw in the trailer that we showed you before the Gran Turismo film, you saw Sebastian Hirsch with Nico Farland just discussing things. And again, that's the family sort of feel to Racing Unleashed in these lounges, where you've got a Racer League driver discussing with a Challenger League driver. You could clearly see them chatting about something to do with racing. And that just shows that they're all trying to, it is a family feel in each lounge, and the lounge want to always get the best. They want to win for Munich, not just for themselves, over Kemptol and Madrid. So it's always nice to see them helping each other out.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not only that, it's also maybe they talk about some incidents, some penalties that they've received. So they might go up to the race league drivers, ask them for their opinion, and sometimes they agree with race control. Sometimes they don't, but that's sports, it's racing in the end, right?
Yeah.
It's the stewards that make the decisions. They're three very well sim racers in real life, actually, and then we also have with Carl Wendlinger, an ex-F1 driver, so he knows his business.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the end, it's about accepting decisions by race control, as F1 teams at some point have to do as well.
And we see it in the real world. We see people. You go back to 2021 of Formula One, bit controversial at the end, and you had, two teams really arguing with the stewards about the decisions. It's the same here in the sim world. It's the hot-headed adrenaline that wants they want the correct decision. Race control obviously give what they feel is the correct decision. And at the end of the day, if you don't want to contest that, you have to live with it.
Yeah, indeed. And it's not only race control in the end who looks into it. I mean, you looked into it, I looked into it, etc. So obviously they're not only deciding then once it's reanalyzed only with the 4 people. They also consult me. They consult other people from the racing world. And in the end, they communicate what they believe is the right decision. And then it's a done deal, so you need to accept.
And it was very interesting, actually. We came in this morning and we're still watching replays of yesterday. And, the opinions were still being given. There are the 4 great men watching the practice session at the moment. Race control are going through their business. They're watching the practice session at the moment. They have decided, we've just been informed, they have increased the guarded laps from 2 to 3. That'll obviously be to the lack of drivers on the grid participating this week. So there is an extra lap for the likes of Smeedle and Sanchez to get from the back to the front. So it will be the end of lap 5 today, not the end of lap 4, where we will see the first driver eliminated will lose 1 at the end of lap 5, on the opening lap of the knockout stage of qualifying. So it would hopefully still be 13 laps, 1 warm-up, 3 guarded laps, and then the knockout laps will start at the end of lap 5. But let's take a look more into the track at Monza.
Have you been there?
Never been to Monza, no. So we start then at Monza then, here in Italy, the Temple of Speed. It's 5.793 kilometres. It's 4 left-hand turns, 7 right-hand turns, 580 metres from start to turn 1. And it is the fastest circuit on the calendar. Drivers can reach speeds of 350 kilometres per hour on the start-finish straight. So as you head off the line, you've got that 580 metre start from P1 to either disaster or through the chicane, and you can wipe the sweat off your forehead and get through it nice and cleanly.
Yeah, this is where we've seen mayhem yesterday. So, and not only after the first chicane, also in this corner here, approaching what is Variante Roccia. So be careful there. Don't overtake drivers off the track, because if you don't give the position back, it might be a penalty.
And then as you head into the 2 Lesmos, Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, a tricky part of the circuit. Overtaking difficult around here, but not impossible. You don't want to be forced out wide like that car was there. Down the straight, little left-hand kink down there before you come to Ascari. Not really an overtaking manoeuvre through Ascari, but you get a great exit down the back straight. You head to the Parabolica, and this is where you can make some moves.
Indeed, yeah, and be mindful in the race. You have push to pass activated, so you can actually re-overtake a guy that just overtook you before Parabolica, and then you go onto the straight, hoping to get a good slipstream and maybe attack.
Good slipstream and maybe get into turn 1. We saw it yesterday. We saw a lot of drivers actually before turn 1 pulling back into the braking zone because they got the job done with the push to pass and had already overtaken. Will we see much of this today? Obviously, these Racer League drivers a little bit quicker than the Challenger League drivers, so it's going to be interesting. What we did see was a few drivers get down to 3 or 2 laps or usages of push to pass early in the race yesterday and have nothing left at the end. But because of the slipstream, because of the pace of the drivers, yes, the push to pass worked, but they didn't really lose much ground over the car after they'd been overtaken.
Yeah, that's true, especially Yannick Pletcher. He had, I believe, always like 3 to 4 push to passes less than his competitors. But it was maybe also his strategy, like Smeedle usually does. He's usually the first one that runs out of push to passes, but then he already did it. He's in the front, but in the end, sometimes it's also good to have some in reserve. It's going to be interesting how people act today. So the strategies in using push to pass will be vital.
We're now in week 6 of 10 here. Obviously, we saw the prologue as well with the push to pass. Has it worked how you hoped it would have worked this season, the push to pass? We've seen early on we were still sort of, it was still a new thing, and we increased the laps, we increased how long the push to pass would work for. Are we happy now? It seems to be doing its job.
Yeah, it seems to be working. Drivers have reported back that they actually like the introduction. Some still ask why not DRS, etc. But DRS, as in real F1, the overtakes aren't really overtakes, right?
Yeah.
So with push to pass, with only limited amount of usages, you have to be strategic, and the drivers really need to think when to use it. And we really like that, format, that part of Racing Unleashed this season. So, maybe it's going to stay. Who knows? Next year is another season.
Next year is another season. Let's, though, take a look at last year's race, at what happened around the Monza circuit.
Now we can go racing. So all the cars on their way then, and Devin Iskro tries to just lock out anyone else that has any ambition or attempts to overtake going into the first sequence of turns here. So Devin Iskro, I think, got a brilliant start. Others in strife already, including Sebastian Hirsch, Nico Farland, and Kevin Abey. Smeedle now has picked up the lead from David Latamada, Kevin Abey, Enrique Marinon, Nico Farland. Then it is Loris Mistretta, Fabian Vettiger, Angelo Michel. But what a start from Michael Smeedle then. Roger Marte trying to get into the action as well, as Javier Loro and Jan Teufen continue to work, and Michael Smeedle sets the fastest lap as Roger Marte goes spinning around like a Kylie Minogue record. We ride on board with Christoph Holstein. Which way will he go? Inside, outside. He opts for the outside, which becomes the inside through turn 1. Very late on the brakes, but he made it work. Then makes the car wide on the exit. A brilliant overtake from Christoph Holstein. Polesny doing everything he can. Now he is close enough to Latamada now to get the benefit of a slipstream. This is Wojciech Polesny for the final podium place. To the inside, he's going to have to be keen on the brakes here. A little touch between himself and Dave Latamada, but I don't think there was anything unfair in that. And Wojciech Polesny picks up that P3 place. Now, Angelo Michel, is he close enough to be able to have a go in the Retafio? I don't think so. But then what the heck do I know? Because here he comes now to the inside. Brakes so late. He was clearly confident in being able to rotate the car through the corner. And Javier Loro is closer and closer and closer. This is the fight that's going on for P15. You can see that Piringo just pulls ahead. Javier Loro is trying to keep this inside line. Oh, a valiant effort from Javier Loro, but he just wasn't able to make it work. Who is going to be bravest going into the Variante de Retafio? Who's going to break the last? It was definitely Angelo Michel. You could see him. He almost stood on the braking pedal. But it worked as he has gone through. Oh, fantastic. As we are on the final lap now. No, please, can we extend the race? Because the racing has been so good. This fight that's going on for P6 and P7 is absolutely awesome between Angelo Michel and Christoph Holstein. Well, it's certainly cemented for Michael Smeedle, who wins the race in utter style. A brilliant drive. Nearly 12 seconds to the good over Enrique Marinon, P2, Wojciech Polesny, P3. So there is Wojciech Polesny. Many congratulations to the Czech Republic driver who takes P3. He is on the third step of the podium in our racing lounge in Munich. And P2, of course, goes to Enrique Marinon in Madrid, and he receives his trophy. Well done, Enrique. A brilliant drive from you to take P2. But on the top step of the podium, Michael Smeedle, bright red shoes, and he collects his trophy for taking yet another race win and reinforcing his position right at the top of the championship. Michael Smeedel, once again, race winner, P1.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
And that was what happened last time out at Monza last season. Fabio, thank you for joining us this morning. We'll see you in the rush hour programme there.
Thank you, have fun.
Indeed, you too. Make sure that these stewards are fully prepared, race controllers fully prepared to go. As we are about now to go into the knockout qualifying session where things are about to get even more interesting. We're going to bring you the starting grid for the knockout qualifying session. It will look a little like this. It is Kevin Abey who will go from P1. Dominic Dedic will line up in second place with Javier Loro P3. Sinan Demirbas, maybe a chance for him to get up into the top three, P4. Alvaro Asnar, fifth place, with Florian Horse at 6th, David Seed 7th, Sebastian Hirsch in 8th, Wojciech Plezny and Enrique Marinon round out the top 10. Angelo Michel goes from 11th place with Alejandro Sanchez 12th, Michael Smeedel in 13th place, and David Ladamada is on his knockout qualifying ban, so he will not be taking part until the race. He has a chance now to just have a moment and reflect on his practice session that he's just done in gear up and get ready to go in the race. So we have got one warm-up lap. We're bringing you 3 guarded laps today, not just the 2, because the fact we're a couple of drivers short, and then it's going to be a few lovely knockout laps in which we will, because of the odd number of drivers, we will lose 1 driver at the moment from the grid at the end of lap 5, and then at the end of lap 6 we'll lose 2 and 2 more until we get our pole setter. There is our Ferrari 488 Challenge car, the one that you saw in the trailer before the programme today. The fantastic, beautiful Racing Unleashed livery on that car. And if you want to see it, it is at the Ascari circuit, and you can see that one for yourself. Beautiful, beautiful car. It really is. As the drivers preparing, getting their tyres in the correct window, making sure their brakes are up to temperature, and they're just from behind the car. You just get to listen at how nice that car sounds as it goes through the motions, goes through the gears. Absolutely beautiful sound from the Ferrari 488 Challenge car there then. So down towards the Ascari chicane in this warm-up lap. No overtaking is permitted if you are new to Racing Unleashed. 1 warm-up lap here. No racing allowed. You have to follow the safety car. It's all about tyre and brake preparation in this one. Yesterday was 2 guarded laps because we are a few drivers short. Today it will be 3 guarded laps in which the drivers have an opportunity here to make sure they can race, gain positions. It's full racing, full overtaking. Gain as many positions as you can, because at the end of lap 5, we lose a driver. The start of lap 5 is what we then go and call knockout laps. We are into the knockout laps, and at the end of lap 5, we lose 1 driver due to the odd number of drivers. At the end of lap 6, we lose 2, and so on and so forth, until we decide our pole sitter. And it was a fantastic knockout qualifying session yesterday. We hope it will be good today. Kevin Abey has decided to back the pack up as the Ferrari Challenge speeds into the pit lane. And away they go then here in this qualifying session. It's knockout here, and it is go at the temple of speed. And already the Munich cars flying past David Seed on his outside. He's still going to have the inside line. They're 3 wide going into turn 1. They all bounce off each other, and Seed puts one of the Munich drivers into another one, who then has to cut the chicane, who will surely have to yield that place. He does yield the place to David Seed. 3 into 1 does not work, and clearly they need to make sure they get this right going into the race a little later on. Alejandro Sanchez has his championship rival right behind him, and Sanchez now late on the brakes. Look how close he gets to the back of Angelo Michel. Sebastian Hirsch, the man who's dropped down to last place, he must have been the one that got tapped around at the first chicane. Then into the second Lesmo comes Alejandro Sanchez. That's a car in the wall. That is David Seed, who's now tumbling down the order. Luckily for him, he's got an extra 2 guarded laps to get on the back of the pack once again. So Hirsch now up to P12. Kevin Abey still leads out front. He's got a good gap to Dominic Dedic. And they all come flying through Ascari. Now it's like the qualifying in Formula One. Who's going to pull out? Who's going to jink where? And a few of them just decide to pull out. Mikel lets Sanchez go there then. So not fighting that one too hard. There's Nico Forland in the background watching on as him and Angelo Mikel help each other through the weekend and sort of driver coach each other. Kevin Avey now, fastest lap of the session. But for Alejandro Sanchez, he's coming under pressure, not just from Angelo Mikel, but from Michael Smeedle as well, as they're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Smeedle has to hop over the sausage curb and bail out of that one. Sanchez and Mikel get a little tangled up, and Smeedle will take both places there then. That may be why Mikel let Sanchez through, to get that slipstream down the start straight. Sanchez hasn't given this one up though. Towards chicane number 2 they go, as there's a great bit of action between Hirsch and Mikel. In the background of Smeedle and Sanchez. Little contact maybe there. Both get through and they head towards Lesmo. Smeedle down to 10th now. Sanchez back up to 9th. David Seed moves into 12th place as well. Well, that determined face on Smeedle. He's determined him come to play today then. As Alejandro Sanchez just losing a bit of ground to Enrique Marinon at the moment. There's action going on a little further forward. Florian Horst has got himself past Sinan de Murbas in this train of cars. And here is Javier Loro, currently P3. Only 6/10 off the back of Dominic Dedic at the minute, who's trying to stay with Kevin Avey. Smeedle looking on Sanchez once again, and de Murbas is now having a scrap with his fellow Munich driver Wojciech Polezny, as de Murbas has got back ahead of Polezny at the moment. Dedic fastest lap of the current session. There is Wojciech Polezny. Defending that inside line has not changed an inch, as de Murbas looking each way till Sunday to get through, and Marinon as well trying to follow Polezny maybe to get past de Murbas there. Now Enrique Marinon, been fantastic in recent races, to the outside through the Curva Grande on Sinan de Murbas, up the inside. And late on the brakes, gets it stopped, gets both apex. Great move. Sinan's down to 8th. Enrique Marinon moves himself into P7. Kevin Avey, 9/10 of a second now. Dominic Dedic just starting to close that gap, but Javier Loro's coming with him as well. They've left a bit of a gap between Alvaro Asnal. That's just over a second. Florian Horser just within that second to try and get on the back of Asnal here, as Sinan de Murbas, our Turkish driver, sweeps it through the Ascari chicane. And Sanchez now on this train, as is Smeedle. Angelo Mikel not yet coming with them, and Smeedle and Sanchez side by side. You see there in the background, Smeedle's going to try and go around the outside just behind Sinan de Murbas. He's got the job done on Alejandro Sanchez. As fastest lap now for Javier Loro in this session. But for Sinan de Murbas, he's now got Michael Smeedle coming after him. And Alejandro Sanchez just losing out a bit of time there. Lock up earlier, further down the grid into turn 1. Not sure who that was. Everybody's through cleanly though. So now we're into the knockout lap. So at the end of this lap, we'll lose the bottom driver. And at the moment, that bottom driver, I believe, was Sebastian Hirsch. It is indeed. Half second off the back of David Seed. So he's got a chance to make up a bit of place at time here and get another move on. But we lose Hirsch at the end of this lap if he stays in that 13th place area at the moment. And there is Smeedle now with de Murbas right in front of him. He knows though Sanchez is still there behind him. And he knows he can't make one mistake because Sanchez will pounce. Towards Ascari chicane comes Smeedle. It's a little calmer than yesterday. The calm before the storm, I reckon, here. And Smeedle goes flying through the Ascari chicane. And he's still on the back of de Murbas here. It's only a couple of tenths, and that slipstream's really going to pull him along. He pulls out now, has a look on de Murbas, tucks back in. As Hirsch now needs a good launch out of here. P3 last time out for Sebastian Hirsch. His first ever podium at Racing Unleashed. It doesn't look like he's going to get the job done today. A little shake of the head there from Sebastian. And that'll be P13 for Sebastian Hirsch. David Seed, though, will get an extra lap here, I do believe, with the odd number of drivers. So David Seed has now got a chance to stay with Angelo Mikel and maybe work his way up. David Seed actually won last time out here when he was in the Challenger League last season. So David Seed, won around here, and Michael Smeedle as well in the Race League last time out. Late on the brakes. Smeedle there towards the back of Sinan Demirbaş. Dominic Dedic is having a good scrap out front with Javier Loro, although Loro's now lost out to Alvaro Aznar. So a bit of a train starting to form here. Oh, and Demirbaş goes a little wide out the second Lesmo, and Smeedle will get that position and covers it off straight away. As easy as you like, but Demirbaş coming back in the slipstream and cannot get it done round the outside on the entry to the Ascari chicane. And for Michael Smeedle now, it's P8 now, Demirbaş. Little wiggle again on the exit of Ascari. Now Alejandro Sanchez. Great view from the rear wing of Michael Smeedle here. Here comes Sanchez to the outside line then of the Parabolica. Little contact maybe? Well, he's not lost the place. Demirbaş very wide on exit of Parabolica. And we are now going to lose Angelo Miquel and David Seed. As Sanchez now up the inside, thank you very much. And who's that coming around the outside? I believe that is Angelo Miquel getting Sinan Demirbaş as well. But David Seed is out of the session P12. I believe we will lose Angelo Miquel as well. He's down to P11 and out of the session as well. It's about to say, that was a great move around the outside of Smeedle now. Looking to attack. Another Munich driver, Florian Horser. Thank you very much, Florian. P7 for Michael Smeedle here. Enrique Marinon is P6, just ahead. Good battle out front though. Kevin Aby still leads from Dominic Dedic. Alvaro Aznar is now P3. And now the attention turns to Sinan Demirbaş and Alejandro Sanchez. Sanchez has got to get a move on. Demirbaş just a little bit too far back, you feel, at the Ascari chicane to get it done at Parabolica. Sanchez, though, knows that this is his last chance to get a move done. I mean, P9, it's not bad. But when there's little cars on the grid, you know you could have had a chance to get through the pack. He's got to look up the inside of Ascari, get a good exit. He's not got the best of runs through it. And I believe that is going to be Sanchez then who's going to start P9 provisionally. And Sinan Demirbaş will be coming from P10. So we move now to our next lap here. It will be Florian Horser and Michael Smeedle, the two drivers who are now at risk. Smeedle, though, 6 tenths off the back of Marinon as they come through towards the second chicane, turns 3 and 4. Smeedle, 7 tenths off the back. He needs to get closer by the time he gets to Ascari. You feel that if he gets within that half a second, little wiggle on exit there, if he gets within that half a second, exit of Ascari, he possibly has a chance of getting past Marinon at Parabolica. Kevin Aby, look, he's got a nice little grin on his face there, and he can be happy with the work he's done so far. He's been nice, calm and relaxed, and has drove a good knockout session here. Dedic, Aznar, Loro, all coming through Ascari. Pelesny, not really mentioned Pelesny in this session. He's got about his business quite quietly. Aby, Dedic, Aznar, Loro, Pelesny, Marinon, Smeedle. Smeedle's not close enough, and I tell you what, Horser has lost out 2 seconds now, so he's going to be going from P8 on the grid. And for Michael Smeedle, P7 for him. It's as good a job as he could have done. Florian Horser there will go from P8. And now we turn to Pelesny and Marinon, whose turn it is to now make up another place. They are the drivers at risk. Pelesny just under a second to Javier Loro, so you feel that Marinon maybe has a chance of gaining P5. Loro just seems a little too far out of reach at the moment, and Marinon here, he's drove beautifully in recent races here in the Racer League. He's got a chance now to drive even more beautiful. Oh, I say that. That's a big snap coming through Lesmo 1. Bit of a grimace on his face here, knowing he's just let Pelesny go a little bit through there. And as they come towards Ascari now, I said you need to be within about half a second of the car in front. Get a good Ascari, although he's not at the moment. That gap's just come down ever so slightly. Now can he pick up the slipstream of Pelesny and get the job done coming into the Parabolica? I feel that Wojciech here has got the gap to Marinon. But you need to get a good Parabolica. Pelesny does just that. There's a little slide for Marinon. That will put his chance of getting P5 to bed. So P6 for Enrique Marinon, P5 at the moment for Wojciech Pelesny in this one. Javier Loro and Alvaro Aznar, the two drivers from Madrid, are at risk at the moment, as it's the two drivers from Camptall who currently lead the way. Kevin Aby and Dominic Dedic currently the two who are doing the job. There's only 3 drivers from Kemptol today. We've no Christoph Holstein and Kaufman. Dedic right on the back. Kemptol haven't had a win. Oh no, they have, sorry, with Christoph Holstein, apologies. In this racer league this season, but Kevin Abey driving brilliantly. Fabio said that Dominic Dedic want to watch. Well, he's just getting stronger as this race goes on. And for Dedic here, in through the second Lesmo, he's got 8 tenths, just over 9 tenths now. Back to Asnar. In fact, he's probably got about half a second, because that's the gap between him and the leader there. He's got 3 tenths of a second. Asnar's having a look. Loro's coming with him, so it's Kemptol, Madrid. But can Madrid find a way through at the Parabolica? He's close enough. If he got a good run through Ascari chicane, he's actually lost a bit of time, as Alvaro Asnar. He's pulled out now to have a little look, but I got a feeling that that is job done. Javier Loro can't get close enough to Asnar neither, so Javier Loro is going to go from P4, and Alvaro Asnar will go from P3. So it's a battle between the Kemptol drivers here then for who will take pole position. And it is between Dominic Dedic, who's dived around the outside. He's had a little lock-up. Both drivers make no contact, space given. Maybe a little wheel touch there. And now Dominic Dedic on the outside. To the Curva Grande they come. Here comes Dedic and Abey side by side still. Fantastic racing on the final lap of qualifying. They come to the second chicane. Absolutely dead heat here. Dedic up the inside. Just a little tap on the front wing, and he's got the move done. Dominic Dedic on the last lap has taken the pole position away from Kevin Abey, who has a big snap through the first Lesmo. And that could put to bed this qualifying session. Can Kevin Abey come back here then at Dominic Dedic late on? He's only just under half a second behind. Dedic needs a good run through Ascari to set him up for the Parabolica. As Dedic comes through now, Kevin Abey actually gains a little bit through Ascari. Lost though on the exit. Has then Dominic Dedic just done enough to take pole position here. He's gapping Kevin Abey just ever so slightly. If only we asked Fabio who'd get pole position. Because at the minute it's going to be Dominic Dedic who's going to cross the line, and he's going to be P1 provisionally in the knockout qualifying session. What a drive from Dominic Dedic. And it was a great fight from Kevin Abey and a great lunge around the outside at turn 1 for Dedic to take pole. Kevin Abey, though, take nothing away from him. Fantastic knockout session there as well. And what a knockout session that was. A little less hectic than yesterday, but nonetheless, it was absolutely fantastic. And we're joined once again by Fabio. And if you called it, you said Dominic Dedic one to watch today.
Yeah, let's see if he has the speed in the race, but for the knockout, well done. Super job. I think very well timed in the last lap, so great racing.
Great racing as well. It was a pretty quiet knockout qualifying session. We saw just a few taps early on in the session when the track was still there. There is Dominic Dedic just driving round back to the pit lane as... yeah, we saw a few little bumps at the start. A couple of drivers deciding to go 3 wide into turn 1, which we know it's just not going to work.
Yeah, I must have watched the race yesterday, so maybe learned from it. But you know, those guys, they really know how to race. Usually, sometimes also they have their mistakes, but still great racing, 3 wide, 2 wides, etc. So I'm pleased with what we've seen. So more of that. More of that.
Some fantastic overtakes as well. Smeedle and Sanchez provisionally at the moment, 9th for Sanchez and 7th for Smeedle. Didn't really make up too many places, coming from 12th and 13th on the grid. So just proving that it's difficult to overtake with the fact that the car's all in the slipstream and all in the tow. They're not getting the speed they need to make the job. Yeah, that's typical Monza, right? You're just hanging in there in the slipstream train, and then also it's the same with DRS, right? So if there are like 5 or 6 cars in a train with DRS, you don't overtake the guy in front. So let's see how we do in the knockout. So, but let's take a look at this guy here. We can now speak with Dominic. Dominic, you have been confirmed as pole position. That must feel fantastic. He doesn't hear us yet. I don't think he hears us yet. But Race Control have just told us in area that he is confirmed as P1. So that's a great feeling for Dominic to take with him and to move into the race with.
Yeah, definitely. It's the best position to start on. And as I said, he's a very experienced guy. He's a racer, so he knows what to do. He has his clear goals, I would say. I guess his target is always the win, but the guys in the back are very quick. So it's all about getting that gap in and then see if he can defend towards the end.
Let's try again. Dominic, P1 for you in this qualifying session. Confirmed as well. That must feel really great. He's not hearing us, we're just being told. So we're going to hopefully get to speak with Dominic later. Now, does this for Dominic, now he's been confirmed as P1, does that kind of take some stress away, knowing that it's not being looked at? He's got time to just relax a little bit before the race. He knows where he's starting?
Potentially, or it puts more pressure on him, actually, because he is actually starting from that P1, right? We'll see, but I
can't hear anything.
Oh, we can hear.
We can hear Dominic. I don't know. I don't think Dominic can hear us at the moment. So either pressure, or straight, it's either a weight off his shoulders, or he could just give him a little more pressure.
I can hear race control, but not live.
There we go. So he's got race control, but he doesn't have us. There's Roy, who took us on a tour of Kemptal last time. We have Konstantin taking us on a tour of Munich a little later on in the programme. Dominic, are you with us? No. Roy is sorting that one out. We do without. We've just been told we have Dominic. Dominic, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
That is pole position confirmed. Great job.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun.
Talk us through your session, because you seem to just follow Kevin around a little bit for that one.
Yeah, I was struggling a bit to get in the groove, and sort of wasn't as quick as I was yesterday in practice. And then Kevin was slowly pulling away from me, and then I was getting a bit nervous because I think Laura was behind me. He almost overtook me, and once I defended against Laura, I then found my pace again and got after Kevin. And yeah, that was a nice last lap move against him. That was some very nice racing.
It was a nice last lap move. It was round the outside late on the brakes, and good respect between the both of you to get the job done cleanly.
Definitely, yeah, that was very much fun. So a lot of respect to Kevin. He did very well throughout the entire knockout, but yeah, I just got him around the outside there. That was fun.
The race coming up in a few moments' time, you're obviously confirmed as P1. Does that now mean you can just relax a little bit before the race?
Oh, no. I mean, before the race, yes, but during the race, absolutely not. So I'm going to try to stay calm now. Obviously, there's a lot of quick guys behind me. If I can get into the groove, I think I can lap in the 19s, 19.8, 19.9. So I could hold off someone else behind me, but yeah, we'll see. I'll try my best.
Well, we know you've missed a few races, obviously, on holidays and things over the summer. It's great to have you back. Just tell us what you've been up to in the time you've been away.
Mainly, I've been sick. I've been sick for a long time, and then I went on holiday as well. But yeah, now I'm feeling a lot better, and I actually got a lot of practice in for this race for the first time since like 1.5 years. So I've actually been practicing quite well, and it feels good to be in the car. So yeah.
Well, Dominic, congratulations on the Indeed, congratulations on the P1. We'll let you get to it, and good luck in the race later on.
Thank you, guys.
And Dominic, very, very happy there with his work, and yeah, fully recovered from his illness. He's had a nice holiday, he's refreshed, rejuvenated, and he's back to claim pole position and hopefully his first win of the season. Yeah, great to have him back, actually, because he's... I'm not sure if you know, but once he started racing at Racing Unleashed, in his first race, he was already second in the race league. So he didn't even go through the school of the Challenger League. He was so quick in practice, so the guys decided, okay, let's put this guy into the race league, and straight away he was on the podium. So he has natural speed, and I hope we see him back more often on the podium and on the grid with a little bit more training, and then we'll see how he does in the championship. Yeah. Now, push to pass comes into play here. He's got the chance tactically to use the push to pass, and whether he uses it early, saves it for late. But he's got a real good opportunity here, because like we just said, it's hard to overtake when you're in that slipstream train. Yeah. So with him being out front, he's got to play this wisely. He's got no slipstream, which gives Kevin Aby and cars behind that chance to get past him down the back straight, down the start straight. You've also got the middle sector just after the Lesmos. He can do this, can't he?
Yeah, he can do it. Pace-wise, obviously, he's a bit off. The top guys are doing 19.4, 5 or something, or even less. So there is maybe half a second. So his goal needs to be just to pull a gap to Kevin, maybe use some early push-to-passes, then save it for the end to defend. And just hope that someone in the back is holding off the field long enough that he can potentially take the win.
He's obviously as well got that nervous sort of start procedure, get off the line well, and get in and out of turn 1.
Yeah, indeed. And as we've seen yesterday, you can be in first, but there could be a crash in the back, and then all of a sudden you're out. So it's going to be interesting, and but I'm very confident that those guys have seen the race yesterday, so they know to be careful in lap 1 because you don't gain anything. You can only lose. So who knows? Who's your pick?
I don't know. I'll have a think while we go through rush hour, and just before the start of the race, I'll let you know. But what a knockout qualifying session it was for Dominic Dedic, and for the Kemptor Lounge as well. A 1-2 for them two provisionally at the moment. We know Dominic will be on pole. We await the full confirmation of the grid, which will bring you on our virtual grid a little later on. There is Munich. You see Smeedle there. Is he wearing trousers while he's racing? Wow. Must be cold in Munich today.
No, it's just you need to drive how you feel most comfortable. So, but I like the headband.
Yeah,
really like it. I think Leshny is wearing one as well. I think it's going to be some sort of.
I've said this for a while now. I think we need Racing Unleashed, because you see Valverde every week. I think Racing Unleashed need their own.
Oh yeah, true.
Their own Racing Unleashed headband for the drivers to wear. Maybe for us stood under these lights. But it was warm yesterday commentating. That was for sure as well. Yep. But yeah, maybe Racing Unleashed get their own little headband on display. But yeah, they're all wearing the headbands. They're all debriefing there with Smeedle and Hirsch, discussing with each other a little bit. You've been in these situations. What do you do in this gap between the knockout qualifying session and the race? What, as a driver, what was your sort of thing you did from knockout to race?
This season it's way shorter than it used to be, so it's only about 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. Last season it was over an hour, so I had time to go and have lunch. We've walked around the park in Zurich, and then at one point we got back. So maybe we had some interviews with some other commentators, but in general I personally just relax. Maybe we watched some scenes back on YouTube. Have some good conversations, but yeah, there are some other guys who rather want to be alone, obviously focus on what's ahead. Everyone is different. For me, it was just relaxing.
Yeah, chill out.
Yeah, chill out. Maybe eat some good food.
Bit of music.
Sometimes a bit of music, yeah, but not always.
Yeah. What do the drivers end with? Obviously, like you said, it's a shorter period now this season compared to last season. If you was in the seat now, would that still be your process, just to try and have at least 30 minutes of relaxing time to just focus?
It depends really who's in the lounge, right? Sometimes you have a chit-chat with the lounge employees, with some visitors, with your mates. I think I would be the same. Obviously, I've grown, so due to the last 2 seasons I've done at Racing Unleashed, you mature, you know how to handle situations a bit more easily. Don't really often agree with race control. I totally get that, but still, as you get older and wiser, as we see in every sport, basically, with a lot of experience comes also a lot of calm. So yeah, I would be almost the same, just more mature.
Well, that's interesting to hear what the drivers sort of go through in that middle sort of session that they have to look to do. Yeah. Are you looking at any sort of track layout? Are you trying to figure in that session of what you can do on the track that maybe you didn't perform well in knockout?
Yeah, obviously you always want to do better. You analyze your mistakes, maybe talk to the guys, and then you focus on them. But if you focus on them too much, sometimes the end result is the opposite. Yeah. You do more mistakes there. So as Dominic said, it's sometimes you lose your groove, your rhythm, and once it's back, it's just, it's like on autopilot.
Yeah. We can now, though, head over to our Munich lounge where we get to speak with our Racing Unleashed employee, Chris. So there is a lovely little bit of our motor world, where we are based in the motor world in Munich, and we are now joined by our Racing Unleashed employee, Konstantin, live from Munich Racing Lounge. How are you today?
Hi,
is
guys.
everything going well?
Yeah, everything is going very well today. We have less technical difficulties than we had yesterday. Everything is working fine right now. This is what we like. So yeah, we are very happy that everything functions, and we look forward to the race today.
Looking forward to the race. What do we expect? What's the experience like in the lounge at the moment? If you could take us through the lounge, what's the atmosphere like? How's the drivers?
Yeah, so our atmosphere here in the lounge is very nice, very good right now.
Do you want to show us a bit more of...
Pretty much, of course.
Yeah.
Let's come together. Let's go down the lounge. So, very good atmosphere. The drivers are pretty much, everybody's more or less happy with the results of the knockout qualifying. And so, yeah, I think that everybody is quite looking forward to the race. Yeah. And we're having a good time here, and exactly. So I think you can see me here with Blue Simulator the best.
Yeah, the lovely ladies, I think it was in a video we did earlier in the year, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I think so, exactly. I think this was, a lovely lady.
We've got obviously some of the Challenger League drivers. What's the mood like at the moment with everybody? We can see them all sat down discussing on their phones. What's the mood like at the moment?
Very good. Everybody is analyzing the knockout qualifying right now, what happened, compare it to what happened yesterday, and trying to give each other information or some tips and tricks that the Challenger League or Racer League drivers can use for the race that will start in a few minutes. So they try to analyze and get every last little advantage that they can get from the race yesterday and also from the knockout.
So as we know, Racing Unleashed in Munich is based in the Motor World building. Why should our friends and family come down and experience Racing Unleashed?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are here in the Motor World Munich. You should come absolutely here to our launch because it's a very lovely building that we are based here in. Because it's not only the launch Munich. We have over 40 different shops here in the Motor World Munich. Car dealerships, high-end car dealerships. Bugatti Munich is here. McLaren Munich is here. So everything, if you're a car enthusiast, come here. You will love it. It's not only our launch, but you also can go for some drinking, and we have also a few very good restaurants here. So absolutely a place you can visit with the whole family, and then come here and watch the race.
Konstantin, I know you're a big racer as well. Yourself, also Max, and some other lounge employees there.
Yeah, exactly.
Watching those guys race, doesn't it feel like you want to be part of it as well? Obviously, we have that rule at Racing Unleashed that employees cannot race in the championships. But sometimes it must feel like I want to be on that grid as well, doesn't it?
Well, actually, for me personally, it's the thing that I quite enjoy to support our drivers. I'm very happy to be behind the simulator and just watching how they're racing and analyzing while they're driving, what they are doing, and really be in the moment with them. But so yeah, it's very fun to drive. When it's not a race just for myself or with some friends here, but actually in the competition, maybe one day, let's see. But I quite enjoy to support our drivers here in the launch behind the simulator.
Very well. So who's the quickest in the lounge in Munich of the Racing Unleashed employees?
From our employees? Oh, that's a very good question. So that would be pretty much a 50-50 split between me and Max. It depends on the track. I think with the current car, I maybe be a little bit faster than him. Last year with the last car, I think it was pretty even, but I have a little bit more experience on the new car than him. So maybe right now, probably I am.
Do you think Max would agree to that?
Well, he would probably right now agree, but give him 2 hours in the simulators and then it's pretty much 50-50 again.
Okay, very well.
There's an event. All the Racing Unleashed employees from the lounges in the cockpits, and let's see them race each other.
It's actually something that we're planning.
Yeah,
so
that
we're
would be
planning an
beautiful.
internal competition, right? Yeah, it's planned, Konstantin. I'm working on an internal championship, Racing Unleashed wise, so be prepared for that.
Perfect.
That'd be one to watch. All the let's see the lounge employees get disgruntled at race control.
Yo, guys. So you have Max and everybody.
Oh,
so
the
we
dog
have
is missing.
almost everybody today. Oh, where's Lou? Exactly. I have to get him.
Because
right
Lou
now
is
the dog
actually part of the team. You see it on the website.
Yeah.
I think Chief Security Officer or...
Yeah, he's our chief security officer, exactly. So Lou is 2.5 kilos of Chihuahua, and he's not letting anybody here in the launch that is not supposed to be here. So he's doing a great job. And he is also paid here with cuddles.
So there is our Munich team minus the security guard then there. Konstantin, thank you very much for taking us through the Munich lounge.
Thank you very much, guys, and to a good race.
Enjoy. Great to see that from Munich there, and it was brilliant to see all the staff there enjoying themselves and enjoying the day that they have. Obviously, we saw with Roy last time out at Kemptal, and I believe next time we'll be with Madrid and get to see the atmosphere there in Spain. But we're going to go and check some highlights. We need to do one of these bumpers.
We will.
Yeah. It is the highlights time, and this is one part of the show where yesterday we saw a fair few incidents. I don't know what we're going to get to see today. I hope we get to see Dominic Dedic's move, because we caught that happening very, very late on as we watched the two drivers previous be eliminated. This is Pelesny and David Seed, lap 1, though, that we're going to show you. On our helicam, then, so Pelesny in the white car, I do believe, gets a good start down. This is into turn 1. This is right at the start of knockout. And he's got a great launch through. 3 wide into turn 1.
Oh, dear. Yeah, happened a bit quickly. So, first of all, he got tremendous speed out of the last corner. Was in front of the 2 guys. Then braked a little earlier than the other 2s around him. Possibly got a little hit from the car on the inside, and this then catapulted into the other car. But I didn't really see that one. So I would love to see an onboard or another shot from the drone. But typical first turn incident, right?
The thing I want to point out here is David Seed on the very inside of the corner. He's making the corner so incredibly tight, 3 wide as well. He's that close to the apex of the corner as he's hitting the brakes. He's not going to make that without having to stop the car. Should he have yielded a little bit?
I mean, he braked later than Pelesny for sure. It was very tight, but.
So this is David Seed then coming through the Lesmos. We saw him off after Lesmo 2. It was his own little mistake. Oh, he's missed the apex, ran a little wide on the curb. Just got too greedy on the outside curb, maybe with the throttle.
Yeah, indeed, it's very slippery out there on the AstroTurf. So a little too wide, maybe too aggressive on the throttle, and that's what caused this incident.
Just a little spin on his out, just driver error. Driver error,
yeah.
A knockout session, a very little incidents, but a lot of trains that we saw through the grid. We saw a lot of drivers down towards the Parabolica pull out and have a look at other cars that made it quite interesting. Is there something in the race that push to pass is going to eliminate? Do we think that we're going to see more overtaking?
It's a tricky bit, you know. So the guys are really on par on pace. So if they're on the same pace, obviously you will have those trains. It's then just about who's going to apply the push to pass first.
So this is Smeedle in the middle with Angelo Michel and Alejandro Sanchez. 3 wide into the first chicane yet again.
Maybe what Sid should have done.
Smeedle's on the inside. Michel is in the middle. And Smeedle right over the sausage curb as Michel and Sanchez have their own moment through turn 2 and Smeedle gets both places. That was done a little better to avoid the contact.
Yeah, maybe he just saw what's going to happen, so he decided to go through the sausage curb. He was actually then benefiting because the 2 guys in front were having a little tangle.
Yeah.
But still, he pulled out of that. So, in my opinion.
So this is the onboard view of Smeedle going into turn 1. He's got a great run from the parabolica, using that slipstream of Michel up the inside. And look, he just knows that corner's not going to be made. So uses the sausage curb, which it's not going to gain him any advantage. He's going to lose time over that sausage curb, bouncing over it. But like you say, because of their little tangle between Sanchez and Michel, he capitalises on 2 places.
I think he did very well there to avoid contact. So for me, very well driving. He managed to not be involved in an incident, have a grip penalty whatsoever, and then obviously good for him. He benefited from the tangle in the front, so he gained 2 places after that. So.
And when you compare that one to the David Seed one, where David Seed tried to make the apex of the corner and had contact, nothing's going to come of that. Race control, they're going to see that as good racing, hard racing. The David Seed one, maybe.
The situations are always different, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Michael saw what's going on the outside there and Sid wasn't really looking. I can't say, you know. But let's see what happened here with David again.
Yeah, this is Sebastian Hirsch.
In the front.
On the car in front and Sid there over the curb. Now, personally, for me, I'd say that's a racing incident. There's drama's gone off in front. They've both tried.
The first one or the second one? Both.
Both bits.
Both, yeah.
It all looks a little racing incident. David's then hit that sausage curb. We saw with Michael Waversick hit the curb yesterday and tapped Lorenzo Hayde around. Similar sort of thing. He's tried to avoid the back of another car. He's hit the sausage curb. Has that just put him into the back of Hirsch by unsettling the car? Possibly so. Nothing should really come of that. Hirsch, it wasn't like Hirsch was spun around as well, so...
He kept it well, actually.
Yeah.
So it was Sanchez going around the outside, so they touched a little bit. Sebastian did well there to catch the car.
Smeedle, Sanchez, second chicane.
Was it Smeedle and Sanchez in front? Okay, yeah.
Sanchez round the outside.
Okay.
Ooh,
kept
little
it well
touch.
there, Michael.
Well, yeah, very well held. Little wiggle as well on the exit. You see the rear end step out
Hard
slightly.
racing between the
hard racing, yeah.
championship leaders.
Championship leaders, rivals, was last season, they are this season. And this is where race control now have to look at it and go, what is hard racing? Which that is.
It's hard racing because you could argue that from the point of Michael that Sanchez was pulling in too early because Michael actually was on the sausage curb on the inside. In the end, I believe they will get through without any penalization whatsoever, and Michael would just, and
this is
follow it down, and he gave the answer after that. Obviously, he finished before Sanchez. So,
and this is it. It's what is hard racing and what is unsafe racing, isn't it? What deserves a penalty, what doesn't. Yeah. That's possibly on the borderline of what it's going to be. This, though, is the Dominic Dedic move on Kevin Abey here. And we just saw Javier Laro and Alvaro Asnar, who was on board them as they got eliminated. And Dedic, good slipstream out the parabolica, late on the brakes, slight lock-up, manages to hold it.
Daniel Ricciardo move, actually, so late on the brakes. And then just fantastic racing between the two. They gave each other space, which is important. They trusted each other.
Absolutely, wheel to wheel. Maybe just a little touch through that first chicane. And then Dedic just gets the move. Again, possibly a little touch there that just put Kevin on the curb a little bit. We know Dominic's been given P1, so we know that's not being looked at. But a great set of 4 corners where they just both fighting so hard.
Yeah, well done. Happy that they didn't crash because he was last lap. He was going for pole position. Well done by the guys. Hope to see more of that by all of the drivers. We've actually seen some very good racing, so I'm very confident that we see that. But it's obviously lights out. It's a race, different situation. So who knows?
So this is on board with Kevin Abey then. From that perspective, Dedic has now got side by side. This is coming towards the second chicane. So Abey's actually got just back in front a little bit there, look, just ever so slightly. And as they break into that second chicane, Dominic's car just a little later on the brakes. This is where we may see that slight contact. Oh, it's not as bad as I thought, actually. Kevin Abey not on the sausage curb as much as I thought. Dedic did well to not get spun around there.
Yeah, you could argue that Dedic could have given him a bit more space, but they both committed into the corner. They didn't tangle, which is good. You really saw that Dominic wasn't giving, or was basically focused on not giving Kevin too much space on the run to the second chicane, right? So he wanted him to be on the outside so that he has all the free room in the middle to actually position his car in the way that he wanted.
And again, hard racing.
Hard racing.
Just hard, fantastic racing to get that move done at the very end for Dominic Dedic. And it was a great move from him, and it was a great way to take his pole position. Race control are obviously still sorting through the grid. And we've not been told of any penalties so far. So at the minute, all looks well. And what we've got provisionally looks to be like it could be the classification. So that's a bonus for everybody. They know where they're starting. Nice and calm at the moment. But you feel there's a storm brewing with the push to pass and the race coming in a moment.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. But the thing is, obviously, it helps that there is a smaller grid today. Obviously, we're missing what now? We're 14, 15 cars?
Yeah, 14.
So that means we're having 7 cars out. Yeah. So obviously a bit unfortunate, but it's the way it is for today's race. It helps, obviously, with incidents. But still, the quick drivers are there. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly they get up to speed and up the order.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be in for a very good race.
Yeah, very good race as well. So what we're being told now is that Sinan Demirbas and Alvaro Asnar have been given a 2-place penalty, which is 5 penalty points on their roster. So that is a couple more penalty points for them. But a 2-place grid penalty, that'll demote Sinan Demirbas down to 12th place, promoting David Seed to 11th and Angelo Michel up into 10th. Alvaro Asnar will go from 3rd place to 5th, promoting Wojciech Polesny to 4th and Javier Loro up into 3rd place. So 2-place grid penalty there for Sinan Demirbas and Alvaro Asnar, which we haven't got to see. So interesting what went wrong.
Yeah, I would be interested in what happened there. So maybe the producer or the stewards can tell us what happened between those two. But yeah, less penalties than yesterday, obviously. Yeah. Let's hope the same for the race.
We've just been told in our ear that Alvaro Asnar for track limits. So that's why he's got the 2-place grid penalty. And Sinan Demirbas caught in a collision with Alejandro Sanchez is what he's been given his 2-place grid penalty for as well. So track limits for Asnar, the only place I can think of is either cut the chicane or down the start-finish straight, because there's obviously that big, we didn't really speak about it yesterday, there's that big piece of tarmac from the white line to the pit wall, in which you've got to stay within that white line. 2 wheels is fine, but if that's where he's done it, then little silly.
Potentially, yeah. But I don't know yet, so we can't really talk about it.
So then, as we get ready to go racing, it's going to be fantastic to see what will happen coming up in a few moments' time. So now then, it's not just Monza at Racing Unleashed this weekend, it is also the Formula 1 at Monza this weekend, and we now have greetings from one of our drivers at the Monza circuit.
Hello guys, as you can see, I'm at the Monza track. Behind me some cars are racing right now. Just coming, old Ferraris, other cars. Yeah, and I hope you have a good race. And good luck to all guys in Barcelona.
Lovely V12 there, actually, of the Ferrari.
I'm glad he got that moment of it coming past. You got to hear that lovely engine roar off. Ciro Zambra there then in Monza this weekend for the Formula 1. Hopefully he's going to enjoy himself and have a good time while he's there.
Yeah, indeed. He was out actually for 2 races now. He was
on holiday.
Holiday once, and now he's at the Monza circuit. So I hope he enjoys, but I like to see him back in the cockpit for sure.
He said there that see you in Barcelona, so he's obviously back for the next race.
We already practiced on it, so
yeah.
Yep.
So he's already getting ready, knows he's back for then, and he's getting ready for that. So
Indeed.
Ciro Zambra, very fast driver, obviously a current Challenger League champion from last year. He's promoted up, and he's had a good season though, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, indeed. So we have...
Right, we are going to look, even though he's qualified P13 in the knockout session, it wasn't the session for him, but the man to watch after the Zurich Airport circuit is Sebastian Hirsch, and his podium in P3. Hirsch hasn't given up the fight towards the BP turn 1. Is he going to look to switch back underneath? Can't do so because Marilon does brilliantly to put it on the apex. And Hirsch now has got to find a way through. P3 will go the way of Sebastian Hirsch. Very well done for him. Poleznik. Sebastian Hirsch is going to take P3 in the Racer League for the Zurich Airport circuit.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
And that was Sebastian Hirsch having a cracking fight with Enrique Marinon for the whole race pretty much around the Zurich Airport International Circuit last time out. He was absolutely fantastic in that one. But so was a fellow driver in the Munich Lounge. It's the current winner of the Zurich Circuit and our championship leader, Michael Smeedel. And Smeedel now, it was his first podium last time out at Imola. Michael Smeedel is going to make it back-to-back Munich wins. He wins here at the Zurich Airport circuit. Michael Smeedel, your race winner today. Great to see. Back to Munich to get our race winner of Michael Smeedel.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Different clips of Smeedel look so different. We saw earlier in the recap of last year's race, you know, tapping the simulator, very joyful, to last time out, just a little high five.
You know, last race was a bit boring for him, he said himself. So, yeah, just he did what he had to do. He was taking it easy.
Yeah.
And last year he had to fight more. We had 22 cars on the grid. So, yeah, maybe a bit more.
He got to fourth, I believe, in the knockout qualifying session at Zurich and got past one car early on, and then the other two made a mistake in front of him and he capitalised. He's not got it that easy today. He's got to go from P7, so he's got to do some overtaking today at Smeedel. And the one to watch, Sebastian Hirsch, he's got to come from 13th place. But as we said about Yannick Pletcher yesterday, Sebastian Hirsch, the back of the grid, possibly in the best position going into that turn 1 chicane.
Yeah, if there is a crash or anything else, it's definitely Sebastian who can benefit from it. But we'll see what's going to happen. I'm super excited now as we get slowly but surely to the race. I think the drivers are also very excited. Yeah, hope for a good race. Hope good fortune to all of the drivers. Keep it clean, keep it fair, and then we're on for a good race, for sure.
We are indeed. Obviously, we're getting into the business end of the season. Race 6, this is of 10. 4 races to come after this one in the year as it goes by. So the championship separated by 2 points. Smeedel's really come back in this one. He's got a chance today ahead of Sanchez on the grid to just extend that championship gap.
Yeah, that will be his goal. His goal is always to win. He's not happy if he doesn't win, for sure. Competition is hard, as we've seen in this season. So 5 different winners in the 5 races that we had so far. So I think... Who's going to be your pick for the win?
The pick I'm going to go for the win is, you know what? I'm going to give Dominik Dedic. I think he could do the job today. Yeah, go someone different. I think. Oh. You?
Maybe I'll stick to that as well, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be Marignon.
So Marignon from Fabio, Dedic for myself. Fabio, thank you very much. We'll see you towards the end of the programme then, as it's now about time to go racing. So then we're getting ready to that time. We're going to be heading down to our virtual grid. As the drivers are climbing back into their cockpits, we're going to head downstairs to the starting grid.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
And it is green and go. It's a good start from Rock already. They make contact. Absolutely flying. He's a man on a mission at the moment. Right into the gravel. So what's happened up front? Oh, it's chaos. Can't overtake, he said. Little Augustin Torlacci, a very happy man on the simulator as well.
This is Racing Unleashed.
So we are just going to be loading up the starting grid very shortly, hopefully for you. We'll be bringing it to you live in a few moments' time. Though there is Munich with Constantine. Just make sure everybody is in their simulators ready to go. They're all fastened in. And high fives all around to make sure that they are ready for this race. The fans and family and colleagues are all ready to watch this one. Munich is ready to go, that is for sure. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic drive for them guys. Some of them got to come from the mid-pack to get on to the podium today. The highest Munich driver is actually that of Wojciech Plez, who's been promoted to P4. There is Madrid, who's got Javier Loro going from P3 at the moment. So what can Madrid do? Again, family, friends and colleagues there all looking forward to this one. Javier Loro is going to go from P3, the highest driver for Madrid, as they go in this one. And all of their drivers in their simulators preparing and getting ready for the race at the moment. They'll all be put onto the grid in their starting positions. And now's a time where you just see drivers just have their eyes closed and just concentrate and visualise their race start. Visualise that first corner or first chicane. David Seed in the green simulator with Alvaro Asnar. Next to him, Alejandro Sanchez in the yellow sim towards the far side. Enrique Marinon, top sort of middle of your screen, and at the very bottom will be where Javier Loro is. There's Dominic Dedic, your pole sitter. He's a man who looks focused and determined at the moment, just having a think maybe of his start and what he's going to do in his procedure of how he's going to get through the start here. But he looks as determined as he did in the knockout session. And he looks as good and focused as he possibly can. He looks comfortable, he looks relaxed. Deep breaths for Dominic Dedic. Calm in Kemptal. And it's going to be fascinating to see what them drivers can do as they go through. It's just interesting to see these drivers, the facial expressions, how calm they are, how they're looking for each session as they go through to get onto this grid. It's a bit of a wait before they get on there. And that's then when the adrenaline will start to kick in. That's then when the adrenaline will start pumping through their body. And as the lights come on, and you just see there, look, he's just got his head just tilted down as he gives us a little wave there, watching on the camera. Thank you, Dominic Dedic, very much. He is, he's obviously probably not calm and just tilting his head to visualise. He's keeping an eye on what's happening on this channel there then, and he's making sure he's watching the broadcast as everybody is around the world from their homes. And if you're not at home watching it on your phones, well, welcome along, enjoy it. It's going to be the 6th race of the Racer League season here at the Temple of Speed, Monza. It's going to be fantastic as we're about to get underway momentarily. So I'll run through the grid just before we get the full classification. Provisionally, what the grid was like. We know Dominic Dedic was pole before Kevin A.B. Right, we are going to speak with Sebastian Hirsch in a couple of moments' time, who's going from 13th place on the grid. It wasn't the knockout for him, but he's the man who is the one to watch. Sebastian, 13th place on the grid, but you've got possibly the best seat in the house for turn 1.
Yeah, 100%. To be honest, I'm just gonna watch it from the back like a Kino movie. Because it's classic Monza. Like, you can basically with a bit of luck, you can maybe win it from the last place. Maybe I don't know. I'm not Michael, but I try my best.
You've got a chance, though, today to get through make some positions up and get some points on the board. Is that the goal, a couple of points?
Yeah, of course. Just maybe grab some good points, maybe top 5, top 6, something like that, and just grab some good points for the championship.
Well, Sebastian will let you get focused and ready for the race. Good luck.
Thank you.
So Sebastian there, ready to go. He's like a movie. Well, Racing Unleashed could have their very own film soon then, based off of turn 1 at going into Monza here. He's going to be watching from the back. And he's got a good seat in the house. David Ladamora back in the race as well now. He's served his knockout qualifying ban. He's back for the race in this one. He'll go from P14 on the grid, which means he also has a good seat in the house for turn 1. And he's got an opportunity here to really maybe make up a couple of places at the start then. As we pan around now to give you the confirmation of the grid order, and this is how they will line up. It will be Dominik Dedic to go from pole. Kevin Abey second place with Javier Loro going from third. Wojciech Polezny promoted to P4 with Alvaro Aznar down to fifth. Enrique Marinon will go from sixth with Michael Schmiedl in seventh. Florian Harser P8. Alejandro Sanchez will go from ninth. Angelo Michel rounds out the top 10. And the bottom part of the screen, David Seed will go from 11th place. Sinander Merbas demoted to 12th with his 2-place grid penalty. Sebastian Hirsch from 13th, and David Ladamora will go from that P14 spot then, as he's back in after his knockout ban. He'll want to prove that he can get some points on the board and want to prove that he can have a cracking race this weekend. Will the Italian driver on home soil at Monza? As the drivers then you see now are all lined up on the grid and they're getting ready to go. They're awaiting the lights to take to the screen and they're awaiting the start of this race. Who will be the race winner? Fabio went the way of Marignon. I went the way of Dominik Dedic. If you think anybody else could win this race, well then make sure you're cheering on your favourite driver as we are on the grid and we await the lights to come on here at Monza. The calm before the storm, we said after knockout. And it's Dominik Dedic who is going to take the pack away. No formation lap in this one. Straight starts, 22 laps around this 5.7 kilometre circuit. The revs now start to rise. We get the red lights. There'll be 6 of them. They hold now. It's a very long hold, but it is now green and go at the start of race 6 here at Monza for the Racer League. And it's a good start from Dominik Dedic, who already immediately comes across to cover off Kevin Abey down to turn 1. Inside line, everybody, little bump on the back of Dedic here. He had a wiggle through 1 into 2, and everybody is through nice and cleanly. A bit of contact in the background, nothing too major. Everybody is through. That's a good start from the Racer League drivers here. But it's Dedic from Abey. Polezny dropped off the back a little bit at the start. It's Kevin Abey to the outside at turn 3. Can't get it done on Dedic, who's gone deep. And Sanchez 3 wide. Backs out of that contact made. That was Sinander Merbas. And I believe, is that David Seed who's next to what's gone off just in front is David Seed, who tapped to Merbas. A car well off at the Lesmos. That was your P3 man of Wojciech Polezny, but Kevin Abey at the minute, right on the back of Dominik Dedic. Dedic already having the start he needed. Javier Loro's attacking Kevin Abey then. And further behind, it's Alvaro Aznar and Enrique Marinon having a good little battle here. Here is Javier Loro, currently P3, right behind Kevin Abey. Very little push to pass been used already. Aznar pulls out now on Marinon, looking up the inside at the Parabolica. Job done easy as you like, Alvaro Aznar. But he's got Schmiedl and Mikel coming with him. Alejandro Sanchez still down in 9th place. Schmiedl has made up 1 position. He's now made up another position because he's got past Marignon down the start straight. And here comes Aznar on the back of Javier Loro into turn 1. He's now going to be in front of Javier Loro. Oh, he got it back on the power. Yes, he does, and he gets the job done. So he's ahead of Javier Loro. Michael Schmiedl now right there in P5, using his push to pass early as he has done all season. That is his go-to strategy. Dedic at the minute, half a second ahead of Kevin Abey. Hasn't used a single lap. Here is Schmiedl on the back of Loro now. So it's Captol, Madrid, Munich is your top 6 at the moment. Angelo Michel having a cracking race at the moment. Polezny 2.9 off the back. Little wiggle for Schmiedl there. Rare mistake from Schmiedl as he comes through the second Lesmo. So wouldn't have had the best of runs down towards the Ascari chicane. Horser's looking on the back of Marignon now. Brakes a little early. Did that just compromise his run? He got a poor exit. Just clipped the grass on the outside. He's got Sanchez breathing down his neck. Smeedle's got past Loro. Here comes Sanchez. Pulls to the inside at the Parabolica. He's got it done before the Parabolica. So Smeedle moves up to P4 ahead of Loro. Marignon gets ahead of Mikel to P6. Sanchez has passed Horser. And Sebastian Hirsch up to 10th ahead of David Ladamada now then. Smeedle again using a push to pass. That's Smeedle side by side. It looks with Alvaro Asno. In fact, no, that's Javier Loro and Smeedle side by side into turn one. They both lock up. Sanchez goes to the outside. He clips the side of Marignon, pushes Marignon into the gravel, and Mikel gets both of them back. And Sanchez then stays P7, but Marignon down to P8 now. As Smeedle's tactic of using the push to pass very early is working. He's down to 3 laps. And we've got 3 usages, and we're only on lap 3 of this race. But Mikel now, race winner 1 time this season, currently sitting P6. Dedic out front, not used a push to pass. Aby's used 2. And Dominic Dedic has got that gap around, hovering around that 0.8 of a second. So he's going great guns at the minute, is Dominic Dedic. Marignon down to P9 now. Horse has got past him. And Polesny's gaining on the back of this train. And Polesny is the only car that is outside of a second behind another driver. Everybody within a second of each other down the straight. Dedic, Aby, Asnor, your top 3. Smeedle's getting closer to the back of Asnor though. Half a second he's within now. As we're about to stop lap 4 of 22. David Ladamada just dropping off the back of Sebastian Hirsch. Here comes Sanchez using a push to pass activation now. And he gets alongside Angelo Mikel. He gets ahead of Angelo Mikel. That is P5 Alejandro Sanchez as he breaks into turn 1 now. Gets it stopped and turns in absolutely brilliantly. And he's now got his fellow Madrid driver of Javier Loro just in front. Smeedle's gained on the back of Asnor at the moment. Dedic still not used a push to pass. He's got 3 usages more than Kevin Aby. Just before Aby used a push to pass there, he extended the gap to over a second. It's back over a second now, look. So Dedic is very much so in this groove. Nearly a quarter of the way through the race. And Dominic Dedic proving he's got some good pace out there. Hirsch just losing time to Marignon at the moment. Polesny now within a second of Sinan de Murbas. And Smeedle looking right on the back of Asnor now, but he's only got 3 usages of push to pass left, and we're only on lap 4. So he's got to be wise as to when to use. It's not the best to run to Ascari. He just put a wheel on the grass. It's not affected him too much here though, as he's going to pull out now on Alvaro Asnor up the inside at Parabolica, and that is as easy as you like. Asnor's not fighting that one too hard. Smeedle now uses another push to pass, as does Sanchez. And Javier Loro, apologies. And Sanchez 19.5, the only man in the 119s at the moment, absolutely flying is Alejandro. Has a look on Loro, doesn't get the move done. So Smeedle's past Asnor and is immediately on the back of Kevin Aby, but Smeedle's down to 2 usages of push to pass left. You feel that he could be a sitting duck later on in this race. Marignon now using a push to pass to have a look at Angelo Mikel. Javier Loro's looking on the back of Asnor. As Aby defending hard now from Smeedle. Smeedle round the outside at Lesmo 1. That's a great move if he makes that stick just further in front. And he has, you know. Great around the outside of the first Lesmo. He's got the job done. He's got 1 use of push to pass left. Asnor now uses 1, as does Kevin Aby. They're going to go side by side down towards Ascari. And Asnor on the outside goes around the outside of Aby. Yes, he does. Oh, big wiggle through the middle of Ascari chicane there. Now here comes Sanchez and Loro to attack the back of Kevin Aby. Sanchez is on the grass as he's getting past all of them. Outside of Parabolica, don't mind if I do, he says. And all of a sudden, he's gained at least 2 or 3 places there. He's gone from 5th to 3rd. Loro, Asnor, Aby ticked off his list as here comes Asnor using push to pass once again. He's only got 1 activation left. He's going to go around the outside of Sanchez. Last of the late breakers. Asnor, well, he's not giving Sanchez a lot of room on the apex here and pushes Sanchez wide. And all that work Sanchez has just done, he's now being swamped by everybody. Asnor, Mikel, Loro, Marignon all come back through. And Sanchez has gone from 3rd to 7th like the flick of a switch. Javier Loro's going to look up the inside into the second chicane, but he can't because Mikel's here. Mikel has to go wide because Loro was coming through. Sanchez is going to have to yield that place. He was pushed wide though, so maybe he'll be able to keep hold of that one. He's back up to 5th. What a dramatic race. Dedic, 1.2 to Smeedle. He's still got 7 laps of push to pass left. David Seed has still got all 8 of his usages left. Whereas this fight, Sanchez up the inside of Marignon, thank you very much. As that is Kevin Abey, who's just tumbling down the order. He's across the grass. And Ascari's had a wiggle on the exit of Ascari, and David Ladamada and David Seed now into the points. They're having a good battle in the background. David Seed and Wojciech Polezny, who's after his moment at the Lesmos has come back through the pack. Loro's down to 14th, so we didn't see where Loro went off. But he's now down to 14th. Marignon back up to 5th place at the moment. Wise now on the usage of push to pass. Sanchez just ahead, 2 usages left. Smeedle and Asnor have 1 use left between them. Kevin Abey's dropped to 13th place. In fact, he's just gone back up to 12th, so it's gone disastrous for Kevin Abey here. Polezny's got past Ladamada. De Murbas has now got past Kevin Abey. And a lock-up from Smeedle ahead of Asnor. Smeedle's already gapped Asnor by 4 seconds at the moment, so he's absolutely charging. He's got that gap down to Dedic. He's brought it down 3/10 once again. But Dedic has got 7 usages of push to pass left. Is it going to be enough, though, to defend from Michael Smeedle here, who is flying at the moment? Sanchez, 2 usages left to his name. Horser as well has still got all 8 laps. David Seed's now used 1. Through Ascari they come. And it's Dedic from Smeedle, from Asnor, your top 3. And he's in the groove here. You can just see he's in the groove. He's led from turn 1. And as he comes down towards the start line now, just loses another 3/10 to Michael Smeedle there then. But still has got all that push to pass left to activate. Marignon does a personal best of a 20 dead. David Seed now drops into the 119s as Ladamada has lost out to Javier Loro. Kevin Abey's now 14th place. So what has gone wrong for Kevin Abey? As Smeedle now looking on at the back of Dedic's car. He's within 6/10, you know. He's getting closer. But you just feel only having 1 lap of push to pass might not be enough for Smeedle at this moment in time. Making sure he uses all the curb on the exit of the corners, look, and again at the second Lesmo. So Abey, Asnor, Smeedle, 1 use left. Haas has not used a single push to pass. Smeedle here within 0.5 of a second of Dominic Dedic, sweeping through the Ascari chicane. Gains even more time through there. There in the background is Asnor, Sanchez and Marignon. Sanchez just can't get through. And he's not going to like seeing Smeedle disappear into the distance at the moment. Gap now down to 0.4 of a second as we go side by side. Sanchez on Asnor. A push to pass was activated there by Dedic. A push to pass has been activated by Alejandro Sanchez. And he will not have an easier overtake than that to make today, let me tell you. As down the start line into turn 1 he comes. So Dedic uses a push to pass and just opens that gap up a little bit now to Smeedle. He doesn't need to panic though, lap 9 of 22. And it's Dedic from Smeedle, from Sanchez, who's now your top 3. Polezny's got himself back into the points after an earlier off. But for Smeedle here now, still within that 0.5 second area of Dominic Dedic. That just opens up to 6/10. Dedic still got that 6 usages left of push to pass to Smeedle's 1. Sanchez has 1. He's 4.9 behind, sorry, he's 4.3 behind Smeedle. We'll see Sanchez's pace now if he can start to bring the gap down, especially if these two start to have a battle. Kevin Abey, though, has just dropped to the back of the pack. Javier Loro's gaining on the back of Sinan de Murbas. Here is Enrique Marignon. Good day for Madrid. 3rd, 4th, 5th at the moment. With Angelo Mikel P6, Florian Horse 7th, Hirsch is 8th, Seeds 9th. Pelezhny 10th as Laura's got past Sinan Demirbas for 11th. And Hirsch has got past Florian Horser, so Hirsch is up to 7th place. He said just before we spoke to him before the race, he'd take a top 5, top 6. Well, he's on the cusp of that now, because he's only within 9/10 of Angelo Michel, who's just there on the back of Enrique Marinon. So he's not a million miles away from that top 5 in all fairness. Has not trying to stick with Sanchez, but we know how hard it is to stick with Sanchez. He's a quick man. Smeedle's within 4/10 of a second. He's bringing that gap down. It's under 3/10. This is why he's used his final push to pass as Michael Smeedle here. Dedic goes now and uses another one, but Smeedle's got through before Ascari. Dedic going to keep the nose on the inside. They just tap a little bit. Smeedle has to go off. He's had a big wiggle through Ascari. Dedic tap again. Now he has to run a momentum. Smeedle's got no push to pass. Dedic is coming back at him on the inside to the Parabolica. Who's going to break the latest here? It's Smeedle. Gives Dedic the room. But you want to get that outside run. A bit of an oversteer there for Dedic as he just drifts wide. And now Dedic in the slipstream of Smeedle without push to pass. He's going to get that job back done. Does he come across to cover Smeedle off? No, because Smeedle's coming back at him. He did it in knockout. He's done it in the race. Dominic Dedic parking on the apex. That is brilliant from Dominic there. And now he uses another lap of push to pass. He's got 4 usages over Smeedle. So he's got the chance to pull away. Smeedle will be enjoying this fight here. He's going to look back up the inside. He just gives Dominic a little tap. And they both managed to get through, all unscathed at the moment. But the defending champion is putting it all on the line here.
Sanchez gained 2 seconds.
While these two are having a scrap, Alejandro Sanchez has got within 2 seconds of Smeedle. So he's coming. This could turn into a little three-way battle here. Right then, Dominic. You got in the rhythm in the qualifying, but you was chasing Kevin Abey. He said in his interview it took for Loro to have a look at him before he got into the flow of things. Smeedle's now had a look. Will he get back into that flow and into that rhythm? He's worked hard so far. Smeedle, though, now in the slipstream of Dominic Dedic. He's coming down. Sanchez in the 119s, as is Asnor and Marinon. Here comes Smeedle to the outside of turn 1. Is he going to get the move done? No, he breaks early and lets Dominic keep that position. Great driving here. And the bonus is Dominic knows he can just run a little deep into turn 1 because he'll park it on the apex for turn 2. So he knows he can get this job done. Smeedle now to the outside of the second chicane. They just tap wheels again. Smeedle's off. Smeedle's off and Sanchez has come through. And a shrug of the shoulders there. Contact was made between Dedic and Smeedle. And Smeedle's down to 3rd. Sanchez is now in for this race lead. Here comes Alejandro Sanchez now on the back of the leaders. And Smeedle now will be determined to get through. Dominic discussing there about what happened. Did he feel he'd left Smeedle enough room? Did he feel Smeedle's turned in on him? Well, that'll be one race controller going to decide. Sanchez keeps a tight line through the Parabolica. Here's Marignon on the back of Alvaro Asnor now. Smeedle still the only driver to use all his push to pass. Florian Horser hasn't used a single lap yet. And David Seed's still got 7 usages left as well. Very, very slidey on the rear as Marignon puts the foot down on exit. 1.2 seconds separate Smeedle, Sanchez and Dedic. But Marignon separated by 3/10 to Alvaro Asnor. He's got Mikel with him. He's got Hirsch on the back of Mikel. And then a bit of breathing room. So Hirsch said he was on for he'd like a top 5. Well, he's close. He's not far away. Here comes Sanchez, though. Looking on Dedic. Dedic still has 4 usages left of that push to pass over Smeedle, and he has 3 usages left over Alejandro Sanchez. We're on lap 14, about to start lap 14 of 22. And Sanchez now putting pressure to Dedic. He's got Smeedle 0.8 of a second. Sanchez has used that final lap of push to pass. Here comes Alejandro Sanchez, pulls out now, gets the move done on Dominic Dedic, comes back to cover his line. I thought Dominic was looking to send one up the inside there, but he backs out of that and thinks better of it. Hirsch has got Mikel. So Hirsch moves into P6 now. The Croatian of Dominic Dedic uses a push to pass. He's going to try and come back at Sanchez. He's going to pull to the inside line for the second chicane. And he can move back across and get his braking zone absolutely bang on. And he does so. And he has that lead right back. Now this is the bonus. He's got 3 usages over Smeedle and Sanchez. To pull away now does Dominic. So it is all down to what Sanchez can do here. He's now got his driver skill, his own ability and speed to get past Dominic Dedic. Into Ascari for the 14th time in this race. Dedic, Sanchez, Smeedle, your top 3 here. And into the Parabolica they come. Sanchez, the slipstream's helping him. Is Dedic playing his cards wisely here? Is he waiting for them to make a move before he uses push to pass? Because you'd think use it on the straight. He's still not used it. A 19.7 for Dedic. Smeedle does his best lap of a 19.7. Sanchez is going to go to the outside line. We know that Dedic likes to brake late into turn 1. That, though, is a great move from Sanchez around the outside. Smeedle's now right back into play. Dedic straight back on the push to pass. He's going to try and look around the outside of the Curva Grande on Alejandro Sanchez. And tactics from Dominic Dedic here. You use the slipstream. I'll push to pass right back against you. And they go side by side. Just bumping. Smeedle's now involved in this. Here comes Smeedle. Sanchez and Dedic just touch a little bit. And Smeedle's now right back in this fight. Never discount Michael Smeedle from a race win. Aznar and Marignon are in this battle as well. They're not far off the back of Smeedle. And now Sanchez looks to the inside of Ascari. Once again, can't get it done. Dedic is defending for his life here. Lap 15 of 22. Sanchez pulls out on Dedic, looks to the inside of the Parabolica. Smeedle's going to try and tuck underneath and follow through. Dedic doesn't allow him. Now then, Dominic, do you use the slipstream? What do you try and do? He's trying to stick in the slipstream of Sanchez. Smeedle's trying to get the slipstream of Dedic. Dedic pulls into the middle. They're nearly 3 wide going into turn 1. Smeedle did this in the knockout session. Can he do it again now? He's got around the outside, inside of Sanchez. There's Marignon. He's come to fight as well. They're all together. And Smeedle manages to hang on to P3. Dedic without push to pass there. Gets back in the lead. Marignon, Aznar are all in this scrap. Smeedle up the inside of Sanchez. Breaks early, backs out. Can't get it done there. Sebastian Hirsch is on the back of Marignon as well. So I tell you what, we've got 6 for the lead here on lap 16 of this race. We set the calm before the storm, and here we go. Dedic, Sanchez, Smeedle, Aznar, Marignon, Hirsch, Mikel, top 7 in this train. Marignon's got past Aznar. That's for P3 and 4. Sorry, 4 and 5, apologies. Hirsch now on the back of Aznar. Can he decide to make his way through? He's got a couple of laps of push to pass. So does Angelo Mikel. Florian Horser, who's within a second of this train. He's got all 8 usages of push to pass left. So could Florian Horser here maybe make up a couple of places? Here comes Mikel. Hirsch has got past Aznar with push to pass. And Sebastian Hirsch, P5. Dedic, Sanchez, Smeedle, Marignon, Hirsch, Aznar, Mikel, Horser behind. Well, we saw Yannick Pletcher go from 20th to 4th on the road yesterday. 2nd overall after penalties. We're seeing Sebastian Hirsch go from 13th to 4th at the moment, 5th at the moment. But where could he be? As Mikel's got past Aznar now. Aznar's got no more push to pass. Is he now about to start to drop off the back? Florian Horse is on the back of him. He's got 8 usages left. We're on lap 17 of 22. And Dominik Dedic, so far, so good for the Croatian. Sanchez pulling out of the dirty air, just having a look maybe at Dedic. He's not close enough at the moment. Using all the runoff there with Sanchez as he clatters the final part of Ascari chicane. But he gets a great run. He pulls to the inside of the parabolica now. Dedic won't mind that one bit. He's going to try and hang it around the outside. Is Dominik Dedic on Alejandro Sanchez. They're still side by side coming down towards turn 1. Smeedle's going to be getting a double slipstream pretty much here. Massive hole being punched in the air. Dedic to the outside. He did it in knockout. He's done it in the race. Smeedle just sort of jinking left and right there. And Dedic to the outside of Sanchez. Job done. Smeedle's going to capitalise. No, he doesn't. Sanchez just gets the run he needed out of the corner. Dedic now uses push to pass. He's got one left. Look at the sweat on the nose and forehead of Dominik Dedic. He is working so incredibly hard here. But for Alejandro Sanchez, at the moment, the way this stands so far, points-wise, this could be crucial. Because it's a 3-point swing, Sanchez to Smeedle for second and third. There's 2 points separating them in the championship. So at the minute, Sanchez could leave Monza leading this championship if the result stays this way. He's gone around the outside of a score. He's got it done on Dedic. He leads this race. Alejandro Sanchez, Dominic's off. Smeedle's through. Where's Marignon now? As Dedic tries to stay in the slipstream of Smeedle, he's got one usage of push to pass left. He's gone from first to third in Ascari. And Dominik Dedic, what has happened? Polesni's dropped back down to 14th. He's had a big moment at Ascari somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the lead. Look at the train. Here comes Dedic. He's past Smeedle. He's on the inside of Sanchez. They touch. Marignon gets the job done on Smeedle. Sanchez has to take to the chicane. Dedic is going to come back through. Marignon's gone past Smeedle. Marignon might now just be able to get past Sanchez. He's going to hang it up the inside of the Curva Grande towards the second chicane. Marignon and Sanchez still side by side. Sanchez looks on Dedic but can't get the job done. Dedic now, no more push to pass. Smeedle's going to capitalise on a good run through chicane number 2, and he's back on the podium. You cannot take your eyes off this. You can't blink for a moment because you're going to miss something. Michael Smeedle, oh, wiggle on the grass. Keeps it all together. Somebody fetch me a headband because this is absolutely epic at the moment. Michael Smeedle, P3 now. On the back of Sanchez. Big wiggle through Ascari. Dedic, Sanchez, Smeedle, Marignon, Hirsch, Mikel, Horse. Florian Horse started to use his push to pass now. And what a drive this is from all these drivers. What a race we're having here at Monza. Hirsch has got past Marignon, he's into 4th. Sanchez, left, right, can't get it done. Into turn 1. Hirsch and Marignon still side by side. Angelo Mikel tries to get a move back. Marignon back air to Sebastian Hirsch. Great fight this. Mikel now push to pass activated. Thank you, Sebastian. As Sanchez leads this race on the timing screens, he's gone around the outside of the second chicane. Smeedle's now going to capitalise on Dedic. Smeedle now moves into P2. Here comes Marignon on Dedic. Can't get it done at the Lesbo. It's Sanchez from Smeedle from Dominik Dedic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And Asnar there makes it 8. And David Teen and Loro's not a million miles away. Dominik Dedic now, he's got to use the slipstream here to get back on the rear end of Smeedle and Sanchez. Now then, with the current way it's looking, it's a 5-point swing in the championship. It's a 7-point swing in the championship, meaning that Sanchez could leave Monza if the result stays as this, with a 6-point lead. But this is all provisional. Marignon and Mikel going at it now. Dominik Dedic now will have Angelo Mikel behind him, who's got up the inside at Parabolica over Enrique Marignon. He uses push to pass now just to extend that gap. And here comes Florian Horse. Hirsch is all of a sudden down to 8th, and Horse around the outside. Is he going to get Marignon? He does. Is he going to get Mikel? He does. And Florian Horser, who saved all his push to pass to the final moment. Marion and Asnor have a bit of contact there. Do not discount Florian Horser. He's got one usage left. He's within 9/10 of a second. Here comes Hirsch. Back through to P6. Here comes Asnor back through as well. Oh, Hirsch has tapped Mikel. Hirsch has tapped Mikel. Managed to all get away with that pretty comfortably. Hands on heads. Oh, Marignon's off. He's been tapped by Asnor at the first Lesmo. He's gone. He's out the points. De Murbas gets into the points now. Enrique Marignon, your heart has to bleed for the young man. Sanchez, Smeedel, Dedic, Horser. What was an 8-man train has now become a 4-man train, and it's Florian Horser on the back of Dominic Dedic, maybe here for a podium. Hirsch, P6 at the moment, no push to pass. What does Smeedel have left in the tank over Sanchez? 2/10 slower on the last lap. This is the final lap of the race. And Horser within half a second of Dedic has one use of push to pass left. Battle going on. David Seed now looking for more points behind Alvaro Asnor. Mikel and Horser, one use of push to pass left. Can they get that podium? Can Florian Horser get on the podium? Here comes David Seed. One use left. Doesn't need it. He's past Alvaro Asnor. P7. Hirsch just in front. Is he too far away? What a weekend of racing here at Racing Unleashed. Challenge League and Racer League. Great action and drama. But it is Sanchez who comes to Ascari now on the final lap of the race. Hirsch probably won't get Mikel. You imagine Mikel's going to use his push to pass. Florian Horser has used his push to pass. So does Angelo Mikel. Dedic defence from Florian Horser. This is for P3. Alejandro Sanchez, though. We come away because on the track, Alejandro Sanchez is going to be P1 on the road from Smeedel in P2. Did Horser get Dedic for P3? No, he didn't. Dominic Dedic P3. Florian Horser P4. Angelo Mikel will cross the line for P5. P6 will go the way of Sebastian Hirsch. P7 for David Seed. P8 will go the way of Alvaro Asnor. P9 Javier Loro. P10 Sinan de Murbas. Enrique Marignon P11 with Kevin Aby P12. David Ladamada 13th and Pelesny 14th. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment from the break. Well, I hope you managed to calm down and after that break, because what a race it was. Fabio joins me back live now as well. That was fantastic. That was absolutely brilliant racing. Provisional result at the moment, the provisional podium is Dominic Dedic finished P3, Michael Smeedel P2 and Alejandro Sanchez P1. We'll bring you the final classification when we are told. But Fabio, that was a quiet start that turned into an absolute fantastic battle between 7 or 8 drivers at the end.
Yeah, indeed. I think we were all on the edge of our seats there. Brilliant racing, but unfortunately also some little hishaps, etc. I personally don't know who's going to be the winner or who's going to end up on the podium, because at one point it looked like Hasse was totally out. He was in P8 or something, but he kept all his push to passes. So I have no idea, especially after yesterday. There will be some post penalties for sure, but great racing in general.
Well, make sure the drivers stay in the lounges for the podium celebration, because Borges Arzo, I don't know if he's aware yet that he got P3 last night. What we did see, though, Fabio, was that tactic from Florian Horser there to save all of his push to pass and to keep it all at the very end. But the slipstream so strong around Monza that he was able to do that and capitalise at the very last couple of moments.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the guys had so many different strategies today with push to pass early on. Smeedel was out of it. The first one again. Dedic had 7 left, I believe, after a few laps. Yeah, I think we needed that breather there after the race. So much was going on. You just couldn't tell who's going to win.
It was anybody's race. We saw Hirsch, who said before the race there that he was looking at a top 5. He was even in that fight for a potential podium. Alvaro Asnar, David Seed at the end. You have to feel, though, for Enrique Marinon, who him and Asnar got involved in a little tangle at the first Lesmo. He was right up there for a podium, if not a race win, and that little bit of contact put him in the gravel.
Yeah. At one point, I was actually thinking, Marinon could do that, and my tip would be the right one. You just couldn't tell the drivers. They kept it going until the very end, unfortunately, for Enrique. It wasn't his day. It wasn't his last few laps. But he'll bounce back, for sure.
He'll bounce back, for sure. And very calm in all these racing lounges at the moment. All the drivers are out the cockpits. Alejandro Sanchez still in his. As we are aware at the moment, he is provisional race winner. So Sanchez still in his cockpit. I believe Smeedel was still in his in Munich as well. We will bring you the final classification when we are told of the final classification. As race control have given a 5-second penalty to Alejandro Sanchez.
Do we know for which incident?
So so we are still. The podium is still not classified, but what we can tell you is Alejandro Sanchez already has been given a 5-second penalty, but there is still more they are looking into at the moment. There is race control. So we've been told that he's got a 5-second penalty at the moment. That will take his race win away, but other penalties to other drivers could potentially get penalties as well.
So here they're actually looking at the case with Dedic and Sanchez, where Dedic possibly braked too late, ran into Sanchez there. So potentially a penalty coming for Dominic there as well. So yeah, all hell broke loose a little bit in the end there with some incidents, but none major ones, not really a spin or anything. So all the cars kept on the track. Still, it's going to be difficult for race control here to really decide on the incidents there. But yeah, let's let them work. They have plenty to do. Maybe we can discuss something that happened also in the race.
We've got our 3 stewards, Roger Mott in the middle, the former driver from last season in the Racer League, and obviously Carl Verdlinger there, ex-Formula 1 driver, professional race driver. He'll know more than anybody about it. There's Dominic Dedic, though. We can speak with Dominic now to get his point of view. Dominic, P3 at the moment, but it was a bit of a scruffy end to the race.
Yeah, I've just, as I was moved into your channel, I heard you talking about me being under investigation. Yeah, I know which one it is. I felt like I left him enough space. Obviously, I slid a bit. I think I locked my rears slightly, but I don't think there was a contact, if there was any. But yeah, I mean, it's up to the stewards. Obviously, I would love to not get a penalty since I felt like I left him space.
It was a good tactic from you, though, to save your push to pass. You got the good start you needed, you pulled the gap you needed, and then it was a case of use it at the end when the quicker drivers started to catch you back up.
Yeah, exactly. I was quite chuffed at the start. The first couple of laps went quite well. Kevin was obviously holding up the other guys a bit, so I could pull the gap. And then, as you said, it was just a case of using push to pass until it ran out, because I did lack a bit of pace compared to Sanchez and Smeedel. There was a nice double pass there on both of them on the start finish straight, but yeah, and eventually I ran out like 2 laps before the end, and then I couldn't really defend against the 2 of them anymore.
Dominic, not only you were sweating, I was sweating like crazy as well. We're all in the studio here.
I'm soaked. It's like a bathtub in here.
Yeah. So tell me, you had this incident also with Sanchez there in the first chicane where potentially you ran into him, pushed him wide there. Did you lock up, or do you believe you were both on the edge and it was just a racing incident?
I mean, I believe I was very much on the edge, probably. He also braked very late, and then there was a slight locking. I think, in my opinion, it's a racing incident, but obviously I'm going to say that. So yeah, I felt like I left him enough space.
Well, Dominic, it is provisional P3 at the moment. Try and enjoy yourself for now and wait for the final classification to come through. Good race nonetheless, though.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Like a bath. And there he says. That's how warm it is for the drivers in the cockpits. He's sweated that much. He's filled the cockpit up.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's demanding. I mean, it's a moving simulator. Obviously, in the back of your seat, there is ventilators, actuators, etc. So some heat coming from those sims. So even though there is a ventilator, it's still hot.
And we could speak now with Michael Smeedle now. Michael, P2 at the moment, but it was a very interesting race.
Yeah, I at the beginning of the race, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wait for the opportunities. So, yeah, then suddenly I was P2, was catching Dedic, and yeah, unfortunately, we crashed like 2 or 3 times. None of that was my fault, I'm 100% sure. So, yeah, let's see how this is gonna pan out, because I have been told that Alejandro had like incidents as well in the race. And another thing, that he was making donuts in the cooldown lap, so I'm sure that the stewards will handle it correctly.
So, Michael, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. So we've been told already that Sanchez has a 5-second penalty already, which would put you in the lead. In terms of your strategy going into the race, at some point you ran out of push to pass quite early on, and Dedic still had 6 or 7 push to pass. Was it your strategy to really attack all the time in every lap, so he had to use all of them and eventually ran out?
Well, the thing is, I didn't want to lose time at the beginning of the race, because there was like a lot of happening, a lot of slow drivers as well. So yeah, but probably next time I need to stop like pushing that button like a maniac. So it would come in handy to have like more push to passes later in the race, because basically I had 0 after, I don't know, 8 laps. So that was crazy.
It was a crazy fight at the end, though, Michael, between 8 or 9 drivers at the very end. Did you think at one point you could have been down the order as well as on the podium?
I was 100% sure that I'm going to win the race.
Well, Michael, well done today on the provisional P2. Enjoy it for the time being and wait for the final classification to come through. Good job, as always.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.
Bit happier this week?
Very confident.
Yeah, very.
I like that about him.
Yeah. Just exudes confidence, doesn't he? Just, it's all about, how confident he is. And he was fully aware of what he was doing and how he had to play his job today.
Yeah, indeed. He just had to be careful that he wasn't being hit or was, pushed towards the outside of the track. He had those moments there. Luckily, he kept it on the track. He also had some very close battles with this guy, and maybe Alejandro can tell us more about it.
Alejandro, it's provisional P1 at the moment. Talk us through that one, because there was a few incidents there.
There were more than a few incidents. After T1, I got hit from the rear on the exit or on the entry, I don't really remember, and I lost the rear end a little bit, lost a couple of positions. But after I had to use the push to pass as many people as I could, and I was lucky to have like the top 2 guys battling each other. I think Smeedle ran off the track or something, or he got spun out by Dedic. I don't really know, because I didn't see it so close. But yeah, I was lucky, so I could catch up to Dedic and battle with him for a couple of laps. He had push to pass, and I didn't, so it was just a matter of surviving until he ran out of them. But yeah, quite intense and quite tough. Quite an action-packed race, to be honest.
Quite an action-packed. We're all being told that you've been given a 5-second penalty. We're not being told what for at the moment. Any idea as to what that could be?
That doesn't make any sense, but we'll check after. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'll check.
It's P1 at the moment, though, and it goes well if, depending on what other penalties happen in the day, if you stay ahead of Smeedle, it's good for the championship going into the last 4 races.
Yeah, of course. It's very good for the championship. But yeah, it's a matter of surviving nowadays, so that's what we try to do.
Well, Alejandro, try and enjoy it for the time being. We'll get the final classification to you as soon as possible.
Thank you very much.
So Alejandro Sanchez there, good win. Was in the gravel at the exit of turn 1 quite a bit today. He saw that everybody tried to go up the inside of turn 2 of Sanchez, and he seemed to be in the gravel a couple of times in this race, but a good race for him nonetheless. Like he said, he capitalised on a mistake between Dedic and Smeedle. Yeah, he had an eventful race, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested in which penalties are being applied to which drivers because I think there will be plenty still. Especially in the last 3 laps, there was a lot going on. Obviously, he wasn't, complying to what the race control has decided already. So obviously, there are processes in place, right? As I said in the beginning, they can contest the decisions by race control after this broadcast as well. So they have time until the evening to protest. And then race control will look at it again and see if the decision stands or not.
So while we're still awaiting this confirmation, all we know is at the moment Alejandro Sanchez has a 5-second penalty, and that could really demote him down the order because there was at least 6 or 7 drivers within that 5 seconds of Sanchez, and that for the championship, if Smeedle keeps hold of the win, could really put a dent in Sanchez's championship standings.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it's not what you want, especially going towards the end of the season, as we all know. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. You know, we can't really say anything because we haven't seen the replays yet. I'm just very interested in what the race control is going to decide. Drivers more or less looking happy here, David. Kevin also had a little smile on his face.
Yeah.
And we got some newcomers here, maybe the next generation.
Maybe the next youngest driver in a simulator. Let's talk about Kevin. Did so well for so long at the start of the race, was up there fighting with the likes of Dedic and Smeedle and Sanchez. Just looked like he made one mistake that then kind of put an end to his race, really, because he just sort of come out of a groove after that.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Kevin, he has raw speed as well. Sometimes just missing a bit of consistency, but I know there has been an incident where he was caught up, so he lost a lot of time there. So maybe he'll be able to tell us at one point or after the challenge, or we'll see some replays. Just stick around and pedal to the metal, right? Just keep going, and at one point you'll succeed at Racing Unleashed if you have the dedication, for sure.
100%. So that is Monza done. We now move to Barcelona. What are we expecting from Barcelona in a month's time, a couple of weeks' time, should I say? What do we expect to see around there that's different from this week?
Less straights, for sure. Less trains, potentially, right? I'm really curious how racing will go there with chicane not there anymore, right? So the drivers have to follow the cars in a high-speed corner, the last one. So maybe it's going to be hard to stick around there because you have a lot of dirty air. I expect actually some very strategic driving this time around. We've seen that today as well, but not so much as in previous races. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be a home race for our Madrid lounge, and I'm pretty sure they're super excited about it.
As race control then are still going over every decision at the moment, and they are making sure everything is the right one. And I believe that looks like it's Sanchez and possibly Dedic on the screen to the right-hand side that they're rock and rolling at the moment. It looks like a Toscari as well. So what they are looking at the moment, that looks to me like it's Dominic Dedic and Sanchez. Now, I don't know if you can just make this out.
I don't think it's Dominic, actually, because that car went off track massively.
Just down in the bottom right corner of the screen here. I don't know if the viewers at home can make that out, but just there, they've got the throttle input, the braking input. They also have the camera angles of all the steering inputs as well. They're going to be taking all of that into consideration on making these decisions and making sure they're the right decisions.
Yeah. As you said, they look at everything at every angle from the top also. And we also have cameras that the guys in the lounge don't have. So we can see the incident from really every angle. And sometimes, obviously, from the cockpit, it looks different. It feels different. But when you look at the replays from every angle, basically, you can really tell sometimes, okay, those drivers are in the wrong or they're in the right.
Let's look at the race start then from Alejandro Sanchez's perspective. He got a decent launch as he gets away from that middle of the pack. And you already see Dedic out front covering that inside line, making sure that nobody can come back at him. And as Sanchez breaks into turn one, it all just gets a little congested. They're all patiently waiting through. He bumps the car in front, the car behind bumps him, and he loses out of place there. Is that just, you know, the traffic piling up, little bump here and there, nothing much in it?
I'm not sure. Is that the penalty for Sanchez there?
I'm not aware. If it is, I feel that seems a little harsh.
I don't think it's that one, because I recall that Sanchez was in an incident with Marañón actually in the first chicane.
Yeah.
So I believe that's the penalty that was being applied. We don't know yet. Our producer will tell us shortly for sure. But yeah, it was once again like first lap, first corner. It's Monza, as Sebastian said in the interview on the grid. It's always going to be difficult and challenging not to be involved in anything.
This is Wojciech Polezny then coming up to the second.
So Wojciech had a great start into P3.
Yeah.
But after this chicane, I think...
Went off at the Lesmos.
Yeah, I think he had a touch with someone.
Well, he's got a good run. Oh, Kevin Abey actually tapped Dedic there. Oh, he's had a big...
I think he wasn't touched there.
No, that was all on his own. That was all on his own. He lit the rear up. Very strange mistake from Wojciech there, because he's had to wait to get on the power, and as he just, you know, all in one, power down and lit the rear tyres up there, because that is a strange mistake for him to make.
I mean, looking at that, it's easy to say that it was his own mistakes. I would love to see also the heli cam, you know, that to really be sure that no car was involved in a touching or anything. But still, it looked weird. It looked very aggressive, and then you just lose it at some point. Unlucky for him, because he was already up there in P3. It could have been a very good race for him, and he had the speed to be on the podium. And then we would have had 9 cars in the top 9 who could have won that race.
We're going to bring you Enrique Marañón and Alejandro Sanchez now, which is what we believe, Fabio, is what the 5-second penalty is all about. So Sanchez is to the outside of turn 1, plenty of room given there. You've seen that happen before, haven't you? Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton come to mind.
So the good thing is that both drivers left each other enough space. But the problem for Sanchez is, because he has such a tight angle, he can't make the corner. And Marañón wants to turn in, can't do it, and it's basically that chain reaction, right? So it's a weird incident, right? I believe that, you know, Marañón came out worse because he was in the gravel after that. And I think this is exactly what race control decided. We'll see how Alejandro reacts to that.
That's what I believe is the 5-second penalty. We haven't actually heard word that it is the 5-second penalty. So that's what I think it could be. We saw him have a little bit of a touch with Dedic at times. I didn't see anything there live that could have been warranted as a penalty. That, for me, is potentially the 5-second penalty. And is this a case of you've got to know the track to know whether you can go around the outside? All right, it's not impossible to go around the outside of turn 1. But if you're not fully ahead of that car on the outside, you know, Marañón and Sanchez were still side by side equally, you've just got to get out of it.
Yeah, or leave a little bit more space in, if you look at Marañón, but he gave him the space he needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't maybe expecting exactly, you know, what happened.
We're being told now this is the 5-second time penalty for Alejandro Sanchez. This is what we're being told. Overtaking on the grass. Now, I think we cut to this on air. So this is coming through towards the second chicane. And he's on the brakes. He's round the outside.
I mean, on the grass. I mean, it's cutting the chicane, right? Because he's the yellow car. He's given. Yeah. He's gained a place. Now, yes, he's yielded time, but he didn't give the place back. You know what's the trick a bit here? If we see that again, if our replay guy could show that once again, we have to look at the guys that he's fighting with. So the black car and the red one, right?
So now the orange car's gone off. He's not got past the red car. He was just behind the black car going into the corner, and he doesn't give the black car behind the position. He yields time to let the black car get back on the rear end.
Can we rewind again, please?
but he doesn't seem to give the black car the position back now.
I mean, this is very hard to see for a driver. I have to protect Alejandro here a little bit. And I do want to see it again because, yesterday it was a bit clearer.
So Alejandro's the yellow car.
So we have the black car. So they are now almost same level. They touch. And potentially here he should have let the black car past again.
He yields the time, look.
Yeah.
But what
I actually thought he would let him pass.
Yeah, what he didn't do was let the black car back through.
Yeah.
So that is
maybe he was thinking, okay, now I'm in such a bad position now because if I let the black car pass, the red one will follow. And
through.
I think potentially he was thinking about it, but then decided against it. And we've seen it yesterday. There has been a penalty for that, and maybe, it wasn't just
to be consistent with yesterday's decisions. The stewards have obviously given another one. This is Aznar and Javier Loro. This looks like it's just in front of what's going off behind. As Aznar round the outside of the chicane, they just bump wheels there, and Loro's trying to turn in where Alvaro Aznar's already here.
Very hard racing.
Hard racing, and Loro turns in on Aznar and comes off the worst. You can't really penalise anybody for that one.
I'm just glad I'm not a race steward, really. It's so difficult. And
this is the easiest job. The drivers have a tough job. Race control have a tough job.
Yeah.
This is
indeed.
We get to stand here and just talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, the first two chicanes are just bound to be a zone of chaos, right? Especially if you fight against the overtake. So if you're going around the outside, you can always end up worse, but you always have the right to defend yourself. And what we got here, Polesny and
Ladamada on the inside.
So Polesny goes.
And he's got the place. And he keeps hold of the place. The hard one is there's the problem with this second chicane is that there's a little bit of contact that puts Polesny on there. Ladamada gave him the space. There was space there for him to at least attempt to make the corner. Polesny doesn't even attempt to make the corner.
Yeah, I know. But I remind yourself how quickly you have to decide sometimes.
100%.
Yeah, in that situation. But maybe, especially looking at yesterday, the drivers must have seen that. So why not letting the guy pass again and then try another
for race control, if Alejandro Sanchez got a 5-second penalty for the same incident, Wojciech Polesny 5-second penalty. We saw it yesterday. We've seen it with Alejandro Sanchez now. You've got to be consistent with your moves. This is Smeedle and Dedic. This is the bit we saw.
This was for the lead.
Yeah, right? This is towards the second chicane. So Smeedle, great run.
Ooh. The touch comes from Dominic. I think Smeedle couldn't have gone more towards the outside.
Can we have that rewound back and slowed down just before the initial contact? And that's Sanchez obviously gaining second place as a result of it. As we go back here then.
Smeedle really is a drifter, isn't he?
Yeah. So this is on board Smeedle. I wonder if we can just slow this down a little more. There we go. Little contact puts Smeedle on the grass.
Yeah. And then obviously they touch, but the problem was in
it's that first...
It's the first touch, really.
It's this touch here.
It's unfortunate for Dominic because this puts Smeedle on the grass. Couldn't really slow down then. And
also, the car might be a little unstable.
But crazy how he managed to keep it alive there because he didn't spin round.
Yeah.
I would put it on Dominic, even though he'll hate me for this. But you could also say racing incident. But he has his
Dominic's he's watching on. He's got his phone on the big screen. Dominic's watching on.
Yeah, he'll disagree, obviously, every driver maybe. Yeah. But maybe after that, he'll think, okay, it could have been my mistake. So maybe a penalty coming his way.
And this could really change the podium here. Really could change the podium. We could end up with Florian Horser on it. We could end up with Angelo Michel. Just depends on their races. This is Polesny again on David
This
Seed.
was the scene that they were investigating, where Polesny will go through the gravel here.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. So he's turned in. They've bounced off of each other there. Surely Seed's going to appear.
Will he crash?
So this is where Plesny dropped to last place. This is where I saw that he was stationary for a while as he flicks the car around. Racing incident, just a touch of wheels that's bounced Plesny into the gravel.
They were racing hard. I didn't really see how, David turned in.
Yeah.
Plesny had the speed, he had the line actually, but they were having a touch there in the apex, which put him out. And unfortunately, he was having dirty tires, and he spun around after lap 1 as well. So he just had a bad day, really. So
yeah.
Very unlucky for Wojtek, but he'll be back for sure.
He'll be back for sure. Indeed, we'll be bringing you another one now. This is Alejandro Sanchez. Smeedel, Dedic, Marignon. 4 for the lead, this is.
Had the touch there. Yeah. Dedic very deep, but still.
If I remember rightly, Dedic gets the place back. Yeah, there you go. So the touch is put. If Sanchez actually lose that to Marignon, I do believe, as well.
Yeah, this is where I thought actually, wow, Marignon is in this game.
Yeah.
But then I think Alejandro is coming back at them.
That one there, nothing in it. Bit of a touch with Dedic. He's avoided to take the escape road, but he's lost out pretty much to Marignon as well as Dedic. So that one can just be sort of left to it. Racing incident, nothing in that.
I don't make the decisions, but they definitely look at it, and they will look at also the outcome. So it's the incident, yes, but it's also the outcome. So, yeah. Happy I'm not a racer today, and the drivers will also have their opinions. They will also have their say in it a little bit, because they can protest after the race, right? 30 minutes or so. So race control will look at the reports during the race, but also after the race, because the drivers have time to actually hand in a written one, so a digital one.
Yeah.
So they have to work through all of those decisions. Which is why it takes a bit of time now. So we are sorry for the delay, but a lot has been going on. So we have Aznar here, and I believe this is...
This is what ends Marignon's run here. So he's got Aznar coming through.
Is it Hirsch that goes into Michel?
Hirsch hits Angelo Michel there. Somehow they both keep hold of it. I know Michel cuts the chicane. Marignon has to then avoid the back of Sebastian Hirsch and go across the chicane. But this is where Aznar and Marignon come together. So Marignon's leaving Aznar a car's width on the outside. And as they come in, he's had a bit of understeer into the front wing of Alvaro Aznar there. Interesting one to go through. Fabio is hard at work at the moment as well. Everybody here really starting to get it done.
Sorry, I'm multitasking at the moment.
Let's take a look at the Alvaro Aznar one. Because it just looks like that Marignon understeers into... Here we go. We get a bit of an on-board now as well. So we get to see the steering wheel input. So Hirsch and Michel have their own moment. Marignon has to take to the chicane to avoid. That actually costs him time to Aznar. And the car just does not want to turn in. And he clips the front wing and in the gravel.
Yeah, it's that slightest of touches, right? You just have, and you can fly off, or it can be okay, right? And this is especially in open wheel racing. I mean, with GT cars, it's not an issue.
Yes,
you can touch a little bit, you can be side to side, but in open wheel racing, sometimes just a little bit is already enough. So
it is indeed. So race control then. Are still going through these incidents here.
Yeah, and what I see here actually is in the middle screen there, so the second from the left in the bottom row, I believe someone went off there in the track limits, and that's the start-finish straight. Because we've talked about this. There are wide lines displaying the racetrack, but there's also a big piece of tarmac on the right next to the pit wall. And this is not the racetrack, it's off-track.
Does that Wojciech Polesny?
Where?
The white car that we're looking at, the track limits.
I don't believe I don't believe it's a white car actually.
Okay.
No, it's not him.
Not Wojciech.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll find out who that is, no doubt, at the end of the programme. Race controllers still got all their decisions to make, so we still do not have a fully classified podium for you yet. Hence the delay on the podium celebration at the moment, as we still are not aware who the top 3 actually is. A reminder that Dominic Dedic crossed the line P3, Michael Smeedle crossed the line P2, and Alejandro Sanchez crossed the line P1. We know for a fact Alejandro Sanchez has at least a 5-second time penalty. There is still, though, no official confirmation on the final top 3. So we will bring you this as soon as we possibly can.
The thing is, how can it be an easy decision today? Because we had 8 drivers fighting for the victory in the very last laps. So each of those guys potentially had a little contact with someone. So race control really has to look into so many incidents. It's a hard job today, really.
It really is a hard job, as well as, like you say, because there is 8 cars involved. It's not like just giving Sanchez a 5-second penalty. He goes from first to second, first to third.
No.
We've got a top 8 here. We can, though, speak with Dominic Dedic once again. Dominic, you're with us now. Now you've seen a few of the highlights there. Give us your opinion on a few of them incidents.
Yeah, firstly, Fabio, I hate you. Because that incident with Smiddle, I think, there was a slight touch, but if you think back to Leclerc and Hamilton, I think, 2019, they did the same thing, no penalty, so I hope that's the same here. And with Sanchez, I think that's a racing incident, so yeah.
You've had a chance to watch
it looked very intense also behind me.
You've had a chance to watch them through, Dominic, though, so do you feel that the podium is still on for you today?
I hope so, but I think there's a lot of people also behind me that are under investigation based on what I could see here on the big screen. There was a lot going on behind me also, so yeah, I'm hoping.
Hoping, fingers crossed. It's been a great day for yourself. You must be looking forward to Barcelona now and getting back in the cockpit once again.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've got the taste of it again. I had a big break before because I missed some races, and now, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it indeed.
Yeah, so Dominic, I will make up for it for sure. We can have a battle in the simulators once again with John, etc. You know, even though there might be a penalty, so we don't know yet, you can be happy with your race because you really fought like a lion. As we saw, you sweated a lot. What can you take from this race going into the last 4 races of the season?
I think a lot of confidence. I saw in practice as well that I was matching some lap times, and during the race I felt good, so I'll definitely take a bit of confidence with me, and also, yeah, practice a lot more for Barcelona as well, and then attack again at the front, hopefully.
Attack again at the front. Well, Dominic, thank you very much for joining us once again. Just hang on tight for a little longer.
Yeah, I will. Thank you, guys.
So Dominic clearly feeling that maybe he's long for the podium. Disagreeing with you.
Yeah, shots fired there, but I know him well, so he's a good guy. So we get along well. He was actually on my at my 30th birthday, together with John. So yeah, we don't know yet what race control has decided. He's still on for a podium at the moment. If they decide otherwise, he can still contest the decisions, or just has to swallow the pill. But still, I mean, being away for such a long time, coming back, really. Fighting with the guys there. Obviously, he was lacking pace, but he did a brilliant job, in my opinion, and I'm really happy to have him back.
And normally when you see guys have a bit of time away from the simulators and the cockpits, it takes a while for them to get back into the rhythm. But like he said, he's worked hard, he's trained hard, practiced for this event, and the practice has paid off today.
Yeah, it did. I mean, obviously, he was helped by the layout, because he was starting from the front in the knockout already, and then in the race he had pole position. Yeah, he did all he could do. Maybe in some little incidents he was really on the edge, and it might cost him for today. But still, all in all, a very good display of his abilities, and he definitely has the speed to be up there. He just needs to be around a bit more.
It does indeed, and it looks like Madrid then. Looks like they've got the Formula One on the big screen there. The drivers are all out the cockpits. They're all having a bit of a conversation, listening to see what is happening then around Racing Unleashed at the moment.
They're watching FP3, I believe.
Yes. What are you feeling as a driver in this moment? Because of the fact there were so many people up for this race win and up for the podium, what do you feel at the moment as a driver? What's going through your mind?
Hoping not to get penalized. I mean, that's the only thing you think of, you know, because sometimes you feel you had a very good race and post penalties can ruin it. And you know, your general feeling going out of the lounge is then, oh my God, it was a bad race. But you know, maybe 98% of that race you did it brilliantly. So I mean, the guys, I'm sure they want to go home at a certain moment now. They just wait for the top 3 for the official results that are being sent out to the drivers after the broadcast as well. I mean, then you just wait, hopefully get a trophy, and then you go home, celebrate maybe a little bit. Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? We don't know. We still are waiting final confirmation. On the podium, which is why the podium ceremony has been delayed slightly, there is race control, and they are just making sure everything is above board and correct. Now, I suppose a positive is they are still on the same 3 screens. They've been for a while now. Does that mean that we're coming to an end of these decisions? Or are they still looking at these 3 separate incidents?
I can't really tell, because that's the race control program here. And usually once that list is up here, potentially then it's over. So I can't really tell. So I think they're just closing some of the tickets there. I'm sure they're there in a few minutes, and then we can actually say who is on the podium and who won this race, and with it 3,500 Swiss francs. Indeed.
So there is Dominic Dedic and Kevin Abey, and Dominic is eagerly waiting by to see where he's finished. Podiums are all set up across all 3 racing lounges, and it's fantastic. Once again, then, Dominic Dedic crossed the line provisionally for P3. Michael Schmiedel crossed the line provisionally P2, and Alejandro Sanchez is your provisional race winner. One thing we can tell you is that Alejandro Sanchez does have a 5-second time penalty. While other penalties are being calculated and worked out at the moment, we do not have an official result. Hence, the podium celebration has been delayed at the moment while we figure out and get full confirmation on the top 3. We will bring you that news the moment we receive it. So we're down to the final 4 in terms of the championship.
Yep.
The drivers know the final 3, or 3 of the final 4, should I say. In terms of Challenge League, we've got Yannick and Nico Farland just starting to pull a bit of a gap between Augustin and Valverde. In the Racer League, at the moment, before this result today, we've got Schmiedel and Sanchez just starting to pull away from the rest of the drivers. After this weekend, we know Sanchez getting a penalty. Nico Farland had a bad race. They've got to bounce back next time.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, every point counts in this championship, in this last 4 races, actually. So they're going to give it all. They're going to practice a lot. I mean, Schmiedel doesn't really have the chance to practice. This is always his disadvantage. And Polesny's as well. And then Gassner's as well. And Haas's as well. So we have a lot of people living far away from the lounges. And they come, I believe, a few days before the actual event. And they just rent out the simulator and train. So hats off to those people who don't have the possibilities to train a lot and then still be up there, fight for wins and podiums, not only Race League but also Challenger League. It's the situation they're in, and they know what's at stake, and I believe they will get a bit nervous for sure. I would. Maybe, those guys have blood of ice or veins of ice. How do you call it? I don't know. But still, it's going to be very exciting.
And if you want to be one of these drivers that participates here at Racing Unleashed, especially in the Challenger League, head over to one of our 5 racing lounges, Calm, Zurich Airport, Kemptol, Munich or Madrid, for what could be a chance to get in the race heating on the Challenger League, especially for the 18th of September, when the qualification period will open for Catalonia. 29th and 30th of September, we are live broadcast from Spain here in our virtual studio. Barcelona, Catalonia is the next challenge. Friday night at 7 p.m. here in Europe for the Challenger League, and at 10:30 a.m. in Europe again for the Racer League. What's the time zone? Central
Central where?
What's the time zone for here? Central Europe time.
Yeah.
There you go, CET. If you're watching from England, BST. There we go. So Barcelona next then, 28th and 29th September. Like we said, qualification opens up on the 18th of September, so make sure you're involved in that one. Spa then at the end of October, right around Halloween. That's going to be an interesting one to see. Laguna Seca then, only a short break after Spa. For Laguna Seca, a quick turnaround before then the final race of the season and the battle for glory. The way the championship has shaped up this season, I was on Facebook the other day and it came upon my memories that Smeedle, about last week or something, had won the championship already.
Last year?
For last season.
I'd race 7?
Yes, whenever Spa was.
Oh.
And I thought, wow, that's early. When you look at the championships at the moment, how tight they are. And we're into race 7 already and no one's going to win it.
Yeah, I mean...
That shows how dominant he was.
Yeah, last year he just had a role and Alejandro wasn't really part of the championship. So I believe, it went well really for Smeedle, but the other guys, they were just so frustrated because he just pulled out the gap so early on. He managed to cut through the field like butter and he just had a tremendous season last year.
Yeah.
And this time he has to work a little bit harder, but equally, if he is able to succeed, it's going to be that much
Are we starting to see his hard work pay off now? Because he really struggled at the start of the season, didn't he? And he now looks like he's getting the best out of the car and he's back to his best self.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, as I said, if you're caught up in some incidents, it can go either way. But at the moment, it works for him, and he's driving brilliantly as always. He is one of, if not the quickest guy out there. So, yeah, let's hope it's gonna go all clean and fair in the last 4 races, and then we see an exciting final.
Indeed, we will. There's David Latamada and his dog.
With his dog,
yeah.
I believe.
Or dogs.
2 dogs. Yeah.
Great to see them at the Racing Lounge. Dominic Dedic on the phone and taking on a bit of food. Ready to go. We still await confirmation on who is your podium, not just race winner, but the podium 3 we are not fully aware of yet. And the Racing Lounges must be as tense as ever as well. There's Madrid again. Alejandro Sanchez on the sofa there, watching on his phone. FP3 on in the top corner then. Go on. Who's going to win the Grand Prix this weekend? I mean, that's an easy question. Easy one. Job done. Max Verstappen, Red Bull. Move on. Next.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes as the last few races, the last 9 races, or all of the races this season, Red Bull is going to win that race. Yeah. But still, it's Monza. As we saw today, anything can happen. But I think that Red Bull just has the pace, especially in the hands of Max. So, yeah. Are you going to watch it?
I'll be watching it while I'm travelling home, yeah. I'll have it on the phone while I'm on the train.
Okay.
I'll never miss a Grand Prix.
Never?
Never miss a Grand Prix.
Okay.
That's because of my dad, that.
Oh, good.
Never missed a Grand Prix. I don't watch free practice. I look at the results. So we are still waiting for final classification. There's still, in fact, if anything, that middle screen looks like it's got a different bit of footage on now, so... We are still going through here at the moment. We will bring you a classification as soon as possible. Yeah, we are at the moment. All right, okay, we've just been told. We've got a confirmed race winner. Strap up here. Lady, we're not going to tell you anything yet.
But we don't
just
know.
been told.
We don't know who is the winner, actually. We've been told there is a confirmed one, but we don't know.
They know in the ear. But we're not being told yet. They're hanging on. So sit back down, relax. Everybody in the lounges, don't get too excited yet.
Yeah, maybe we can show the people once again the clip of Racing Unleashed. Where we
show the trailer.
The trailer where we want to bring people to the real racetrack. And as I said previously, this is something we really want to do. They're actually very... behind here with the broadcast, but yeah, if the producer is able to show us the trailer once again, so we can make Racing Unleashed once again very attractive to the outside world.
Okay, so we will go to the trailer of the Racing Unleashed. And again, if you saw the Gran Turismo film across Europe, mainly in Switzerland, you'd have noticed a little trailer before the film started. Let's take a look at it. You did that.
I did it, yeah.
Well done.
Like 10 minutes, so it's not that bad. I was just told by the producers. He was giving me a hard time, actually.
He was the other day, yeah.
Yesterday,
Yeah.
so but he just said it's okay.
Yeah. he's apologised in our ear, saying it's good. Do you have plans to go and watch the Gran Turismo film?
I will, because I want to see that trailer in the cinemas as well, but I'm just very curious how they did it, because that's a real story. It's made by Hollywood. I mean, those films have to be
Orlando
great.
Bloom, you know.
Orlando Bloom, I mean, more for the girls, I would say, right?
Oh, yeah.
But there's also one coming out sooner or later with Brad Pitt, so the one that
Formula
they're
One.
actually recording during the F1 Grand
They
Prix.
did. A friend of mine was at Silverstone, and they did a bit. You know, when they go down for the national anthem, Formula One, they did a bit there of him walking up, and fair enough. You know, we get an actual Formula One film.
I think it's great. I mean,
yeah,
but
the car looked nice. The black and gold.
Yep,
like the old Lotus back from Ayrton Senna drove.
Looked good.
Right, there though is Munich, and they are preparing what looks to be. They must have received word of somebody's on the podium, because there's a trophy next to one of them simulators there. Now, race winners confirmed, but the second and third are still being decided at the moment. Reminder for you that it was Dominic Dedic who crossed the line in P3, with Michael Schmiedl P2 and Alejandro Sanchez crossed the line P1. We know for a fact that Alejandro Sanchez has been given a 5-second time penalty, and we are awaiting full confirmation on the final classification for the podium. This is why the podium ceremony has been delayed slightly.
And did you see his reaction right there? So maybe he knows something that we don't.
Well, there's a trophy there.
Yeah, but did you see Michael's reaction?
No.
Okay, so maybe he knows something that we don't know, but we just wait for race control to tell us.
Yeah.
P1 is confirmed. There's one trophy. So is it Schmiedl? Is it someone else? Is it Hasse maybe? Who knows?
I imagine that tactic worked and he gets the race win.
Brilliant tactics, yeah.
So let me just run through. So the top 7 was pretty close. Now, the way they crossed the line was Sanchez, Schmiedl, Dedic. P4 then went the way of Haase. P5 was Angelo Michel. So a potential trophy there maybe for Angelo Michel. P6 went the way of Sebastian Hirsch. So there's a few Munich drivers that was within that top 7 or 8 at the end of the race. They only have one trophy. So...
yeah, because it's not decided yet.
Yes.
So we know it's P1, and looking at the pictures there, it could be P1 is in Munich. We don't know yet. It could be Schmiedl, it could be Hasse, could it be someone else, Hirsch or Michel?
Yeah. Who was P8 went the way of Aznar, who was not far off that battle as well. So a chance for Madrid. P9 went the way of Javier Loro, I think was a little further off the pack.
Yeah, and the guys are getting bored there looking at F1. We see a McLaren locking up. So yeah, I would really like to show all of the guys who won actually their race or who is in the podium. So who knows? You said?
I said Dedic.
When
you
I
said
Maragnon, so we were both wrong. Actually, I asked the audience also on YouTube.
Yeah, and what did they say?
And obviously now, in the beginning, it was all about Dedic, 100% Dedic. After that, it was 25% Schmiedl and 75% Dedic. And then the big battle happened, right? So now, obviously, that is still going on there. And people have seen the replays. People have seen the race. So it's at the moment 35% each for Sanchez and Schmiedl and 24% for Dedic. And 6% for Aznar. But yeah, interesting.
Interesting to see then the different votes on the YouTube stream. They're interesting to get the audience's perspective on who they think is going to be the race winner. And it's nice to see that it's changed throughout the race. You know, people have gone, oh, Dedic has got this one, and then Smeedle starts to get through, and they've changed their mind. Right, now, you said yesterday that screen there, at the very top, means that they're putting in the penalty points.
Yep, indeed, that's the penalty point roster on the Excel
So we
file.
are possibly close to a decision here. Carl Verdliger taking on some water.
And Adrian is going.
There goes Adrian. This will possibly be to give our producer the final podium. If you sat near a drum set, give it a good old drum roll, please, because we will be waiting for the podium to come through in a few moments' time. He's back in his chair, so
yeah,
they're having a good discussion.
Yep. So we could be finally having a final result.
We have the podium.
Wow, I didn't expect that.
Wow. Hold on to your hats, folks, because it is a Munich 1, 2, 3. Angelo Michel, P3, classified. Florian Horser, what a strategy, P2, classified. And your race winner, second race win of the season, it's the defending champion. It's Michael Smeedle, who is your race winner here at Challenge 6 of the season. So no Dominic Dedic, no Alejandro Sanchez, but a Munich 1, 2, 3. Remember earlier in the season when I kept saying that Munich hadn't won a race? Now look, they're firing.
Yeah, they've bounced back massively, and
wow.
I really wasn't expecting that. I feel for Dominic here. He did a great race. That podium was his. Unfortunately, didn't get it. But he will walk out there with a bit of anger, and he'll bounce back strongly. I'm sure of that.
He will indeed. So Dominic Dedic will be watching on, and yeah, big shame for him today. Disappointment for him, but he's got a lot of positives he can take away from this race weekend. He was very fast, very quick, good on the defensive drive as well. So a lot of positives for Dominic Dedic. A reminder, the final classification, Michael Smeedle race winner, Florian Horser with that fantastic strategy, P2, and Angelo Michel, P3. Now, we haven't got the full classification of the rest of the order, but what this means is, Fabio, the championship. Smeedle 25 points in the bag. Sanchez is at least P4. We don't know the rest of the order, but if Sanchez stays in P4, that throws the championship wide open.
Yeah, well, he's having a drink there a little bit. Will contest that decision for sure. We just know what we know at the moment. We know the podium, and we can congratulate to the guys who are on there. Munich 1, 2, 3, unbelievable. Is this maybe a little decision or a deciding factor, this race actually in the championship? Because Smeedle will pull out the gap here.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sanchez has to bounce back in Barcelona for sure.
He has to now. So once again, classified podium for you. Michael Smeedle, your race winner, second race win of the season. Florian Horser, P2, with Angelo Michel, P3. That also gives Munich its third race win in the Racer League this season. So Michael Smeedle, first back-to-back winner in Challenge League and Racer League this year.
Yep. Awesome. So they're going to have a big party there. So 2 trophies. The third one is still missing. But what a strategy by Florian, actually. I'm so amazed by Hasse's race.
He didn't use a single push. Two opposites. You had Smeedle, who did it early. You had Horser, who did it at the very end. 1, 2.
Yeah.
Mikel just flew did his normal thing and used it every now and again.
Yeah, and he was also involved in some bits there, but still... congrats to the guy, and I think we're ready for the podium ceremony.
We are ready for the podium ceremony then. So it looks like it's going to be Angelo Michel, the first one to receive his trophy. He's P3 in the race. Angelo Michel will step up onto the podium and will take P3. Great scenes then in Munich today as he can take his third place trophy.
Where are the rest of the drivers there? I don't see them.
They must just be off the camera a little bit. P3 for Angelo Michel in this one. Here comes Florian Horser. What a strategy from this young man. P2 for him today. A fantastic job by him Great strategy from Florian Horser. And now we await for Michael Schmiedel, who is going to be a two-time race winner this season. The defending champion pulls a gap in the standings at the moment with 4 races left. Michael Schmiedel, your race winner.
He's almost too big for the camera here, but well done. Wow, somebody had a big smile on his face.
Yeah, he's happy this week. Michael Schmiedel, the race winner from Florian Horser P2 and Angelo Michel P3. A Munich 1-2-3 today. And that then is the final podium ceremony. And that will bring a close to the Monza race weekend. What a race weekend it's been, Fabio. It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, thank you very much for tuning in and having the patience there. Hope to see everyone back in the next race in Barcelona.
Yeah.
Hope to see you back.
I'll be back.
Very good. So, yeah, thanks for the exciting races. I mean, I'm lost for words now because I'm so amazed about this podium. Yeah.
Okay, so we are going then to Barcelona at the end of September. Thank you all for tuning in this weekend. Goodbye. Can't overtake, he said. Augustin Torlacin, a very happy man. He's on the simulator as well.
This is Racing Unleashed.